cashier, Francis Fisk, is suing his former friend, construction worker Diane Billy, for injuries his pit bull received while in Diane's care. Diane is countersuing for unpaid dog-sitting fees.
According to what I read, you have a dog. What kind of a dog is it?
She's a pit bull mix.
And for some reason, you were moving, whatever, you couldn't take the dog with you, so you asked the defendant if she would be willing to take care of your dog for a while.
Yes, there was an agreement set up between her and my girlfriend's father, and she's a friend of his. And,
yes.
He asked her if she'd keep the dog. She said, yeah, it's not a problem. She lives out in the country as long as we supplied her food.
The agreement was not with you, it was with your girlfriend's father.
That's right.
Okay. And how long was she supposed to mind the dog for?
We didn't really have a set time. It was just until we found a new place to live.
So anywhere from a day to 10 years?
Basically, just until we found a spot to live.
According to your complaint, when you got the dog back, someone had severely beaten the dog.
Yes, that's right.
And had severe head trauma. You want Miss Billy to take care of the vet bills.
Yes.
That's what the case is about. And Miss Billy says she doesn't know what happened to the dog. She certainly didn't beat the dog. And you owe her for food and for boarding the dog. So that's your counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
When did she take possession of your dog?
It was towards the end of August.
How old is this dog?
13 months.
How long had you had her?
Like 10 months.
From the time she was a puppy?
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you go to visit regularly?
Yeah, at least 3 or 4 times a week.
And did you bring the food as you promised you would?
Yes.
All the time?
We left the bag over there so she could feed the dog when we weren't there. But every time we went over there, my dog's food bowl was empty, her water bowl was dry.
If that happened every time, Mr. Fisk, why didn't you remove the dog from her care?
Because I had no place else to take her.
Why didn't you allow her to be adopted by somebody else?
Nobody wants a pit bull.
Well, you wanted a pit bull.
That's right.
I had another case not long ago with people who had a pit bull. So evidently a lot of people had a pit bull. That's not a smart thing to do.
It was hard. I mean, it was...
What efforts did you make to try to find somebody else to take the dog?
Everything I could. I talked to my mother, her friends, everybody I knew, and I couldn't find a place.
Did you put an ad in the paper?
No.
For a 10-month-old pit bull?
No.
Friendly?
No. I didn't put any ads in the paper.
When did you find the dog injured?
I got a call on October 15th at about 10:30 saying, your dog is sick. I don't know what's wrong with her. You need to come get her. I couldn't go. I had to go to work. So I got in contact with my girlfriend at school. She came home. Her and her stepmother went and got the dog and took her to the vet.
When did you see the dog?
When I picked her up from the vet's office after I got off work.
Step up. Tell me your name.
Justine Price.
Ms. Price, would you describe the dog when you went there?
Well, she was usually kept in a kennel, and she was in their breezeway inside of a cardboard box. She was bleeding really bad from her mouth, and when I tried to, like, move her lips to see what was wrong, I don't know, it was like a seizure. Like, she started turning her head around real bad, so we took her to the vet.
You have a report from the vet?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
Do you just want all the evidence?
No, I want the report from the vet. The dog had a broken jaw as a result of trauma. They wired her jaw. How did this happen to his dog?
I don't know.
Who lives in your house?
I have roommates that live there. Matt was there.
Who's Matt?
Right here.
How is he related to you?
He's not. He's a good friend of mine. I work with him.
Was Matt at home when this happened?
We don't know what happened. The dog was loose for 2 days, and I called to let them know that the dog was loose for 2 days. And
when was the dog loose?
It
what,
was
2 days?
2 days before the Friday that I fed the dog. It came back that Thursday. She got loose on Wednesday, and she was gone for 2 days.
And then she came back.
And she came back. I tied her up. It was dark out. I tied her up. I didn't think that anything was wrong with her. She didn't act, you know. And then the next morning when I went to go feed her, that's when her head was sideways and she looked sick. So I called Frankie to let him know that their dog was sick and they'd take it to the vet. And he said he had to go to work. They never.
You know what happened to the dog?
I have no idea.
What?
He's the one that's accused of hitting my dog. But I couldn't do anything about it because I couldn't prove it.
Well, what makes you think he hit your dog?
Because the person that spoke to her and spoke to us told us the whole story. I mean, I wasn't there. I can't say that's what happened. But I heard the same story from 2 people that both associate with Diane. They both go over there and party and get drunk and whatnot. They both associate with her. And they both told me that he's the one that hit my dog.
Oh, somebody hit your dog. What do you do for a living?
Work construction, concrete.
How old are you?
18.
Did you have a party over there on October 14th?
Yeah.
I don't
it
hear
wasn't.
you.
It was
Yeah
just,
is not an answer. Yes is an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
How many people were at the party?
Just a couple people. It was
A couple is 2.
all right, like 5 or 6.
Now, I want you to list the 5 or 6 people that were at the house. I want you to make sure you list them all right.
Sean, Becca, Dusty, me, Diane, and Marky.
And what was the drink of choice that evening?
Bud Light.
Anything other than Bud Light?
No, ma'am.
Where was Miss Bealey?
Oh, she was there. I'm sorry.
Were you playing any games that evening, sir?
No, ma'am.
Where was the dog?
Outside.
Tied up?
Yeah, it should have been.
Was the dog making noise?
It barked.
How many times did the dog bark?
I don't know.
Did you go out to see?
Dogs bark. They were both barking.
So between the time you had this party on the 14th and the 15th, something happened to the dog. What do you think that was?
I have no idea.
I don't either. All right, let's take care of this. You are responsible for the vet bills, madam. When you assume a responsibility, even if you assume a gratuitous responsibility, you have an obligation to see to it that no harm happens to this dog. We understand each other? And if you've got 5 or 6 teenagers, either chronologically or mentally, drinking beer in your house, and something happens to this dog, that's your fault. Now, these are prospective vet bills. It may work, the jaw wiring may work, and may not work.
When I spoke to my vet, she's had some problems breathing. And when I spoke to him, he said there's more than like a 90% chance she's going to have the major surgery.
Probably. Well, in any event, this dog has suffered substantially. Your claim is for $1,000, which, as far as I'm concerned, is most reasonable considering the vet bills that you had and the prospective vet bills. And I'm giving you these vet bills because I believe that they're responsible for what happened to your dog. Either they or some of the other drunken people that were at her house on the 14th of October. But I have pets. I love them. And if I left them someplace and went over to see them and there was no food and no water, that may happen once. But you said you never saw food and water in the bowl.
It was hard.
Then you don't tell me it was hard. It's your fault. Better off to take a dog to the Humane Society and let them look for another home for the dog rather than to let the dog stay there and be without food and water so that it runs away and to have its head used as a golf ball. You're not supposed to be an idiot even though you're 18. We understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Drug counselor Frenchis Burnett is suing her ex-boyfriend, maintenance man Quentin Barnett, for vandalizing her Pontiac Grand Am twice. Frenchis claims he was caught red-handed both times.
You're not related to each other,
No, ma'am.
but he was your boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you broke up with him.
Yes.
According to what I'm piecing together from your complaint, he didn't take this breakup well.
No, ma'am, he did.
And he vandalized your car, according to you. He came to your job and created a scene, harassing you. You want him to compensate you for both.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Burnett says he just wanted to talk, right?
Yes, ma'am.
She didn't want to talk to you. When did he vandalize your car?
On August 26, 2004.
Tell me about it.
Earlier that evening, Mr. Burnett had called me stating he wanted to come by my house and talk to me. Mr. Burnett at that time was not welcome at my house, so I told him he could not come.
When had you broken up with him?
The second week in August of 2004.
Do you care to tell me why?
Around that time, my house was broken into, and at that time, I was suspicious of Mr. Burnett, and I asked him to leave my home and ended the relationship.
Was he living with you at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
How long had he been living with you?
About a year.
Why did you think he was somehow responsible for the burglary?
The last 6 months of our relationship was very disruptive. We were into a lot of arguments. I didn't like the type of people he was hanging around, and he was just, suspicious to me.
Tell me what happened on August 26th.
Mr. Burnett called and stated he was coming over to my house. At that point, I sat in my living room looking out the window waiting on him. When I saw him arrive, he did not get out in my driveway. He got out down the street from my house, and I saw him exit a vehicle and walk toward my house. As he walked toward my house, he started to ring the doorbell and knock on the door. At that point, I called the police, and all of a sudden, I heard a noise outside my window. I looked outside my kitchen window where my car was and saw Mr. Burnett vandalizing my car.
What did he do to the car?
He smashed the front windshield. The 2 rear view mirrors were smashed out, and then he took a iron brick and scarred the whole car up.
Frenchess Burnett claims ex-boyfriend Quentin Barnett vandalized her car twice. Quentin says it was probably one of her other boyfriends.
You have a police report?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
May I see it, please?
I also have pictures.
I'd like to see those too. Did you have a hissy fit?
No, ma'am.
Did you scratch her car?
No, ma'am.
What did you do to her car?
I didn't do anything to the car. I went over there. She didn't let me in, so I left.
She told you not to come over to begin with.
Yes, she did.
If she told you not to come over, what'd you go over there for?
Because I wanted to talk to her.
She didn't want to talk to you.
Well,
Are you trying to tell me you just left?
yeah, I did just leave.
No.
Man, oh, well, whatever.
Okay. When was the next act of vandalism on the car?
August the 27th.
What happened then?
Earlier that day, Mr. Burnett had been calling me on my job with harassing phone calls and threats.
What did he say?
That he was going to get me, that he was going to call my boss and cost me my job, that he was going to beat my A and everything according to that. He also came up on my job that day and attempted to assault me. As a result of his actions against me on my job, I lost my job, and I have a police report to
I'd like to see it, please. In the year that you were living together, how many times were the police called to your house because of assaults?
Several.
Who assaulted whom?
He got the assault charge.
Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
Why what?
What'd you hit her for?
Because she did something to me.
What did she do to you?
She hit me first, so I hit her back.
Oh, well, if she hit you first, that's the reason. So you hit her back. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I bit her
You bit her.
on the job.
Sounds like a relationship made in heaven. Tell me what happened on the 27th, please.
Late on that evening, I went home, and that's when my son came to report to me that he was outside slashing the tires on my other car.
Tell me your name.
Gordon.
Did you get along with Mr. Burnett?
Okay.
Do you remember August 27th?
Yes.
Remember what happened with the tires of your mom's other car?
He slashed them.
What time was this?
9:30.
In the evening?
Yes, ma'am.
When you saw him slashing the tires, did you say anything to him? Did you call out to him?
No.
What did you do?
Told her, and she called the police.
Is Gordon lying?
I guess he is, because I ain't do it.
So somebody else slashed her tires,
Yeah.
and somebody else rode all over her car.
Yep.
Now listen to me. In the year that you lived, year or so that you lived in her house, how many times was her car vandalized?
None. Zero.
None. No, no, no. I'm just trying to get some information, some basic facts from you, sir. In the year that you lived with her,
Zero.
she had 2 cars, and nothing happened to the cars, right?
Yeah, right.
And in the week following her putting you out of the house, both of her cars end up vandalized. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? Isn't that bizarre? How coincidental that is?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's just mind-boggling how those things just happen to come around. Isn't it mind-boggling?
Quite a coinky-dink.
Right. Can I see the estimates, please, on fixing your car? Mr. Barnett, you got to put a rein in on that temper, sir. You know what the policeman says about you here?
What is that?
He says you are angry. Were you angry?
He couldn't have said it about me, because I wasn't over there. He must have been talking about somebody else.
Well, no, no, no. It's you. It's you. He says you're angry.
He
said your general appearance was conservative, but your demeanor was angry. Now, tell me what happened when he got to your place of employment, Miss Burnett.
He came on the job. He was very, very disturbed, wanted me to come from around the desk, and I would not.
What kind of work do you do?
Alcohol and drug counselor.
Why did you go to her place of employment, Mr. Barnett?
To talk to her.
She didn't want to talk to you. She told you that before.
Oh, okay.
You're a nice-looking young man. You have a job?
Yes.
What kind of job do you have?
A maintenance man.
So you have a job, you make a living, right?
Yes.
You find another girl, she doesn't like you anymore.
I heard you.
So you're going to leave her alone, right?
Yes.
If you don't, you're going to go to jail. Do you understand?
Good.
You working now?
No, ma'am.
How long did you have that job?
3 years.
On what date were you let go?
August 30th, 2004.
You caused her to lose her job, Mr. Burnett. Caused thousands of dollars worth of damage to her car. Was your temper tantrum worth it? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Counselor Vicki Baker is suing her former neighbors, Byron and Mary Terry, for damage to her Chevy Lumina. Vicki says the couple drove the vehicle during a hailstorm.
Miss Baker, you agreed to sell the defendants a car, a used car that you had, according to what I read. They had the car for some time. They made some payments on the car. And then, according to you, they stopped making payments on the car, so you repossessed it.
Yes, ma'am.
And after you repossessed it, Mr. and Mrs. Terry sued you for all the money that they had paid into the car, which was, I believe, about $1,400. Is that right? Yeah. And how much had you paid?
$1,850.
And how long did you have the car?
We had the car for roughly about 3.5, 4 months.
Okay. Now you want them to pay for the damage that was done to the car while it was in their possession as a result of being driven in a hailstorm.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. and Mrs. Terry said, you live in Oklahoma, for heaven's sakes. That's what happens in Oklahoma. There are hailstorms. They're not responsible for the hailstorms. That's your defense.
Partly. Yes, there's more to it.
That's the defense that I read here. That it's a hailstorm and you're not responsible for an act of God. Now, Miss Baker, when did you agree to sell them the car? Give me the month and year.
December 4th of 2003.
And you took it back sometime in March?
Actually, no, it was April 2nd.
And when you got the car back, describe the damage to me.
I have photos of the damage, Your Honor.
Can I see it, please?
The automobile was damaged all over with hail damage. I have photos of the car, the storm and the damage, and also an estimate for over $3,000
Do you know when this hailstorm was?
Yes, March 17th.
Car, hail.
Were there other cars damaged, Miss Baker, in Oklahoma where you live by this hail?
Yes, ma'am.
How many hundreds of cars were damaged?
Probably many.
So why do you think the Terrys are responsible?
Because in the agreement they were responsible for any damages as well as to insure the car, which they did through Geico. And then I had asked them to take care of the damages with their insurance, and they did not.
Now, after March 17th, did they make any payment to you? When was the last payment?
March 12th, Byron paid me $200, which totaled $1,400.
Oh, I just asked you when the last payment that they gave you was.
March 12th.
Why did you stop making payments after March 12th?
We didn't, and we have proof. What happened was when we bought the car, we put like a large amount of money down, and then she gave us a copy of the title, and it said there was a lien on it, and she kept convincing us to double up on payments, like, and harassing me at work.
Just a second, Your Honor. Just a second. I asked a simple question. It doesn't require a story.
Okay.
It requires an answer. Why didn't you make any payments after March the 12th?
The last payment was...
As a matter of fact, I was sitting in jail, ma'am. I won't lie to you. I wasn't capable of writing her a check. My wife was handing her cash. She gave my wife no receipts, which I told my wife, don't give her no cash if she ain't going to give you no receipt, because it ain't going to do you no good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Ma'am, I didn't know we had hard feelings. I thought this would be friendly throughout the entire thing.
After you took back the car, they sued you. At what point did you think it was friendly?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Vicki Baker says former neighbors Byron and Mary Terry owe for damage to a car they were subleasing. Vicki says the car was dented during a hailstorm.
The question is, did you make any payments or did you not make any payments after March the 12th?
No, I'm sorry.
So the answer is no.
Right.
Now, when, Miss Baker, the Terrys sued you for the return of their money, you already had possession of the car, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you, in fact, counterclaim for damage to the car?
Not during that suit, no.
Why not?
I tried to, and they said it was too late to countersue, that I had to make a new suit.
When did they sue you? In what month?
May 28th.
So you had already had the car back for almost 3 months.
April 2nd. No, I would have had the car back for about 6 weeks.
And when was the court case heard?
The court case was actually heard on May 28th. So the suit may have came just a little bit before that.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. When did you file suit for the return of your money?
When did I file suit?
No. Damn.
In April.
And when was she served?
The weekend after I filed suit, after I got out of jail.
Sometime in April.
Yes, ma'am.
So you had at least 4 or 5 weeks. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
After you got notice that you were being sued. And you had at least 6 or 7 weeks to sue them for the damage to your car. So my question to you, Miss Baker, is why didn't you do it?
I was hoping that they would take the car. All along, I have offered them back the car for the $1,000 that they owed on the car. And so I have no use for this car, so I was hoping that they would do the original agreement, which was to pay the $2,400.
What did you do in order to convey that to them?
I spoke to them twice in person.
Just a second.
Okay.
Spoke to them twice after you repossessed the car.
Yes.
On April 2nd.
And also the police. Pardon me.
Did either Mr. or Mrs. Terry indicate to you that they were prepared to continue paying the additional $1,000 that you claimed they owed?
Mary's statement was, no, I will not give you another dime.
Okay.
Byron said, no, I'm leaving state. I have no need for the car. I'm fixing my truck. So they changed their mind.
So the answer is
no.
No.
Yes, ma'am.
So then my question to you is, why didn't you sue them?
I did.
No.
Ma'am,
you didn't sue them. Listen to me.
Okay.
You didn't sue them until after they sued you for the return of some of their money. That's when you sued them. You saw the car was damaged the day you took it back, on April 2nd. So if you believed that you had a legitimate case, you would have been in court immediately, as you were now, to file a case against them because they damaged your property that you had repossessed. You chose not to do that.
Ma'am, I didn't know we had hard feelings. I thought this would be friendly throughout the entire thing.
What, Miss Baker? I don't know where you're at, madam. After you took back the car, they sued you. At what point did you think it was friendly? Where's the car now?
In my possession.
Good. What are you doing with it?
I have offered it back to the Terrys. I'm letting it sit until we decide what to do. Your Honor, may I speak, please, on this situation? I befriended these kids. They moved in next door to me.
I don't care about that. That's not what this is about.
Okay.
That's a story once upon a time. Right now what I have is you sold them a car. They were friends, next-door neighbors, you liked, whatever. Sold them a car. You took the car back for non-payment.
No, ma'am. I took the car back because she sent me a letter refusing payment.
She said she wasn't going to pay you anymore.
Right, yes.
Fine.
Yes.
So I paid you enough, and I'm not paying anymore. Shh.
Okay.
Not paying anymore. This has been resolved in another court.
Right.
I'm not dealing with that. You took the car back. You did nothing when you took the car back until after they sued you for some of the money that they had invested in the car.
Ma'am.
That's what happened.
I did it as quickly as I could because I am a very, very busy self-employed person. To drive 2 hours to go down and sue someone when I knew I had until May 28th, I didn't see any hurry in doing that.
Well, I don't see any hurry in responding to it, madam. It's an act of God.
They damaged my car.
No, they did not damage your car.
My car did not get hail damaged, and many cars did not because most of us know to pull over during a hailstorm and park our cars somewhere else. It's only those who drive. Mary was at work.
To be in a hailstorm.
Mary was at work. And she chose to drive home in that hailstorm. She bragged to me how she drove 70 miles an hour in the hailstorm. She could have chose to stay at work and let the hailstorm pass, and the car wouldn't have been damaged as it was.
Did you drive intentionally in this hailstorm at 70 miles an hour? No. Is she crazy?
Well,
is she crazy?
I was petrified I was going to break through my windshield. I never drove in one
Nobody
before.
drives. Nobody drives 70
stay
miles an hour in a hailstorm, Miss Baker.
How come she didn't stay at the office and wait for the hailstorm to pass if she was terrified?
Miss Baker,
I was on my way
how
home
come
from
she
Bakery
doesn't live in Florida, where there are no hailstorms that I know about? I don't know why. The heavens opened up, golf ball size hail came down, damaged your car as well as hundreds of others. They're not responsible for that. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Civil engineer David Fletcher is suing his ex-girlfriend, admissions clerk Brenda Manus, for illegally cashing a check and for attorney fees. Brenda says David was stalking her.
That's case number 345 on the calendar in the matter of Fletcher versus Manus. As far as Ms. Sworn in judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Mr. Fletcher, you and the defendant used to date.
Yes, ma'am.
And there came a time when, according to your complaint, the defendant had accused you of being unfaithful.
Yes, ma'am.
And you said to her, it's not true. Here's a blank check. I'm signing it. You take this blank check and go hire yourself a private investigator and investigate me. Yep. So far, is that right?
Yes.
So she took the blank check, she filled it out, made it payable to herself for a couple of $1,000s.
Mm-hmm. Ma'am?
Who did you make it payable to?
He made it payable to me.
Oh.
He put my name in it.
Fine. You just filled in the amount.
Yes, ma'am.
Then things didn't go well. She accused you of stalking her. Mm-hmm. You were arrested, had to hire a lawyer. Those charges were subsequently dismissed. Yeah. So you want the $2,000 back from the check and the attorney's fees.
That's correct.
Ms. Main says she cashed that check and wrote in $2,000 because she had to be taught a lesson not to be such an idiot. I mean, she doesn't say that, but that's about what you said. And that she had grounds to file a complaint for stalking because you were, in fact, stalking her and making her very uncomfortable. Was he stalking you because he wanted his money back?
He never asked for the money back, Your Honor.
Never?
No.
When, for the first time, did he ask for the money back?
I received a
letter.
Let's
start from the beginning. When did he give you the check?
It was end of April, first part of May.
Can I see a copy of the check, please?
Yes, ma'am. I put together this, and it's got an index for all the things, or do you just want that?
Listen to me. I'm not as young as I used to be. Okay. Just give me a copy of the check.
There's some other stuff stapled to it. But...
April 6th. But that's the date on the check. And it was cashed?
In the upper right-hand corner there, it's the 8th of April, is when it actually transpired through the bank.
2 days later. Didn't waste any time.
No.
What'd you do with all the money?
I paid a bill of my daughter's.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it.
Okay, then I have here some emails. You were hell-bent to give me these things anyway. This one is dated Thursday, April 8th, 9:14 a.m. From you. No, David, I'm not going to hire a PI with your money, but I'm going to hold on to your money for a couple of months so you can sweat a little. That should be long enough to teach you a lesson on giving someone a blank check. By the way, I cashed it for $2,000, and you did have money in the account. You're lucky I didn't cash it for $10,000 like someone suggested. You lied to me about how much money was in your account, so you must not trust me. I hate liars, and once I'm lied to, I have a hard time believing anything that a person says to me in the future. How much after that did you break up with him?
We were broke up.
2 days later after he gave you the check?
Prior to the check.
You're not a nice person.
Maybe not.
Well, you're right. Well, I'm glad if somebody knows themselves. That's the first step to self-healing. I mean, you took advantage of him.
I don't feel that I did, Your Honor.
You don't feel as if you took advantage of him. He gave you this check for what reason? He gave you the check and said, I haven't been doing the wrong thing. I have been doing the right thing. Here, take this. You should have taken it, ripped it in 10 pieces and say, listen, David, it's over. I'm not interested in you. Instead, you took the check, you cashed the check, you went and bought yourself something, you paid a bill for your daughter, and then, after you told me, I'm going to hold on to the money for a couple of months. That's what you said to him. So far, you owe him $2,000.
Excuse me?
So far, you owe him $2,000 because you said you were going to give it back to him. That's what you said in the email. That's your email. That's what you said. You said, I'm going
to me?
I don't care what he wrote to you. You told him that I'm going to hold on to it long enough to teach you a lesson. Did you learn your lesson?
Yes, ma'am, unfortunately.
Now, can I see when you filed stalking charges against him? Did you continue to send her letters and emails and flowers?
Well, what I'd like to do is present my evidence on this, if I could.
Listen to
While
me.
we were dating, I did.
Listen to me.
When we were
Listen to me. Watch me. After she cashed this check, did you send her flowers?
The last flowers I sent her was the first or second week of April. After the check, we were broke up for like a week. We got back together, and I have emails that she has communicated with me.
When you say you got back together, did you take her out for dinner?
We went out to dinner, and I have my business partner here that came over to Gold Beach, and she'd actually went out to dinner with us.
After April 8th?
After, yes.
Okay. Now, when did you tell him that you didn't want him calling you anymore?
I can answer that.
Go ahead.
It was May 19th, and I have the last email correspondence that I actually had with her.
Can I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am. This was style, evidently.
I don't take
May
crap in
19th.
style.
And from that point on, I had no more contact with her, other than after I got served with a stalking order, which I got served. That was May 19th. When I had a hospital appointment, I had to have some surgery done at the hospital there. She works there, and bumped into me. And after I got done with my surgery and I got home, the next thing I know, I'm getting served with a stalking order. And that was, I hadn't saw her for almost a month.
How come you never told the police that you ripped him off for $2,000? I don't see that anywhere here.
Your Honor, I didn't rip him off for
Yes, you
$2,000.
did.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Oh, you did.
Okay.
Oh, you did.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How come you didn't say to yourself, maybe if I give him back the $2,000 that I took from him, maybe he would leave me alone? What are you looking at me? Am I speaking a foreign language to you?
And later today,
Would you describe the dog when you went there?
She was bleeding really bad from her mouth, and when I tried to, like, move her lips to see what was wrong, it was like a seizure. Like, she started turning her head around real bad.
How did this happen to his dog?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. David Fletcher claims ex-girlfriend Brenda Manus owes for illegally cashing a check and for falsely accusing him of stalking.
Now, he didn't make you a gift, he didn't make you a loan. It was clear that he was trying to be a boyfriend and gave you this check. And initially, put your hand down. Initially, what you said was, 2 days after you cashed the check was, I'm just going to hold on to it for a couple of months to teach you a lesson, not to be a fool and give somebody a blank check. Somewhere along the line, you changed your mind after you spent the money. So my question to you is, how come you didn't tell the police when you filed these charges against him, not for threatening you in any way, just he sent you emails, he sent you flowers, then he called you. How come you didn't say anywhere in any of these statements that I took $2,000 from his bank account? You didn't think that was relevant?
Nope.
No. And how come you didn't, if you thought that he was stalking you, how come you didn't say to yourself, maybe if I give him back the $2,000 that I took from him and made a fool out of him, maybe he would leave me alone and wouldn't bother me. And here's the $2,000, because he says to you in an email, why don't you just give me back my $2,000? I'll leave a deposit slip for you. What are you looking at me? Am I speaking a foreign language to you?
I would like to see that. I don't recall
Sure.
that. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you.
How much was your lawyer?
$712.
$712, did you say?
Yeah.
Refresh your recollection now? When he says, I'll leave you a deposit slip, please put my money back in my account. When did you do that, Miss Maines?
When did I put the money back in his account?
Yeah.
I did not.
And if somebody was stalking me, if someone was following me around, if someone was coming to my place of business, I would say, gee, I want to remove any irritant that might exist with that person because they feel like a fool. Not a nice person. You were right at the beginning. First statement was right. You are not. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,712. You don't abuse the courts by filing stalking petitions when you've done the wrong thing. Goodbye.
Why does that excuse? You may step out.
He's mad because I filed the stalking order on him.
No, there was no stalking.
He emailed me constantly. I blocked his email.
Only part of the hateful part was the part that she told me when she had a boyfriend.
Called 2 and 3 times a week.
I emailed her back and I told her what I thought of her leading me on like that.
He would not leave me alone.
She basically wrote the check for more than she was supposed to.
He gave it to me.
It was supposed to be paid back. It wasn't paid back.
Was never asked to be returned.
There'll be no more blank checks.
And now the next retail salesperson, Patricia Troy, is suing her ex-boyfriend, retail assistant manager Charles Shaw Jr., for the return of money meant to secure an apartment. Patricia says Charles lied about wanting to live with her.
Ms. Troy, the defendant is your former boyfriend, and according to your complaint, you gave him some money in order to save up some money to put down on an apartment for the two of you to share together. After you gave him the money, he decided he no longer wanted to be a couple, and you want your money back.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what the case is about.
Yes.
Mr. Shaw acknowledges that you gave him money, right?
Yeah.
But Mr. Shaw says that the money was a gift. You had given him money in the past. It had absolutely nothing to do with an apartment, and there was never an expectation that he would return that money to you should the relationship go south. So, how long have you known him?
Since September of 2002.
And I gather from your complaint that there was a time, Mr. Shaw, that you were incarcerated. Is that right?
Yes.
When was that?
From March of 2003 until April of 2004.
What were you incarcerated for?
A breaking and entering charge and...
Burglary?
Yeah.
I can understand burglary.
And...
Was this the first time you were...
management.
What?
I didn't go to anger control management.
Burglary and anger control management. So this emanated from a domestic violence situation?
Yeah, so basically it was just anger control management. That's the charge. I got violated.
Why didn't you go to anger control management?
I did go. I missed the last class, so I got violated.
And who was it that was the target of your anger?
A former ex-girlfriend.
You have a child with this ex-girlfriend?
No.
Did you learn your lesson?
Yeah.
Did you finish anger control management?
Yes.
Did you finish it in prison?
Yes.
See how they get you to do it? One way or another, you're going to go to that last class. Now, Miss Troy met you in September of 2002, so she enjoyed your company for several months, and then you went to jail. And I assume that Miss Troy stood by you when you were in jail. Is that right?
She came in on the tail end part.
On the tail end part of jail?
Yeah. She was writing at the beginning, then she stopped writing. Then around November of 2003, she started coming around.
Do you mean she started to come to visit you?
Yeah.
Because you couldn't go visit her. So she was visiting you.
Yeah.
How far a trip was it that she had to make to come to visit you?
Not far.
Give me an idea. What's not far?
Probably a mile.
1 mile? The jail was 1 mile from where she lived?
I assume it was.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I said, you're waiting for my son to get home. There's no guarantee he's going to even still want to be with you. This is about my son no longer wanted to be with her.
Patricia Troy says her ex-boyfriend Charles Shaw Jr. owes for the return of money she gave him to secure an apartment. Charles says the money was a gift.
Now, where was the jail? What jail were you in?
Richmond City.
Richmond City? Was that a county jail?
City.
And you live in Richmond?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's not such a far distance for you to come to visit?
It's not that far.
When you came to visit him, did you bring him money?
On occasions.
Is that right?
Yeah.
How much money did she bring you?
These are just some of the money slips that she did give me.
Can I see it, please? Who is this, by the way?
Oh, that's my father.
$20 on March 13th, $30 on March 27th, $30 on April 12th, $50 on January 22nd.
All that money she didn't bring me. My father, right? My father gave her the money to bring to me.
Why didn't he come to bring it to you?
Because my father owns a furniture store, and she was working for him at the time. So during that time, he was at work. When she came to visit, she just brought the money down.
But it was not always his money, Your Honor.
Sometimes it was
that money
yours.
came out my pocket, and I also have some receipts.
Those are the same receipts.
Okay, I have receipts.
Different
Okay.
dates.
So sometimes his father gave you money to bring him, sometimes you brought the money yourself. Now, tell me about the money that you claim you gave him for the apartment, Miss Troy.
Okay.
He got out of jail.
Yeah, he came home in May.
Look at me when you're talking.
He came home. We were still dating, supposedly. It came to a point where he went out of town. Supposedly went to New York or whatever. We talked about our apartment. We had conversations about the apartment. I also have the letters where the conversation started when he was incarcerated. So when he came home, we talked furthermore about it, and we agreed that I would give him some money to save for the apartment. On the first occasion, I gave him $180 in cash. On the second occasion, he came to my home and picked up $200 in cash.
Well, what did he say when he picked up the $200 in cash?
I mean, he really didn't say anything. He just said he was going to put the money away. Okay, then he told me he found an apartment. He was approved for it. He told me he needed my information so he could put my name on the lease. Okay, we were supposed to move in the apartment August the 6th. The week before we were supposed to move in the apartment, that's when everything was broke off. I asked Mr. Shaw, would I be able to get my money back? He told me he was going to give me my money back. We made a verbal agreement that he would drop the money off at my mother's house. He never did. We bickered and argued for a day over the phone about the money, about this. I even contacted his probation officer to try to solve this. But, you know, nothing happened, so I felt like I had to sue him for it.
Well, you talked about getting this apartment, sir, for a long time while you were in jail.
I was thinking about getting an apartment, but when I came home, she didn't have herself together. First of all, she stopped working. My father had to let her go due to circumstances at the store. Then, in my eyes, she wasn't stable.
Well, why'd you take this $380 from her?
I mean, if somebody give you some money, you go... She asked me a couple of times, do you need any money? I'm like, I need some money. And then she asked me, do I need any shoes or anything? She was like, I buy them from you.
That is...
Shh. You want to say something?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. This goes back a little bit more than what's going on. Back in January, the job at the store was actually my son's job. I was holding it for him until he came back from jail. But he called me back in January. He said, Dad, Patricia and I, we're having a little problems. She's having problems staying where she lives now with the people. She has a lot of issues going on, and she can no longer stay there. So could you let her work my job that you have for me at the store so she can find an apartment for her and her 2 kids to stay? So I said, I really don't want to right now, but I'll do it for you. So she came to the store. This was in January, February, March, April. I told Miss Troy, when are you going to get an apartment for you and your kids? She's making the money. She never does it. I said, you're waiting for my son to get home. He's going to change. A lot is going to change about him. There's no guarantee he's going to even still want to be with you. You must worry about you and your 2 children.
Good advice.
So she had the money, plus she even got an income tax return. She did all that. She had plenty of money to get the apartment for her and the kids. This is about my son no longer wanted to be with her.
That doesn't answer my question,
Yes.
sir. You know what my question is?
Yes.
He acknowledges he took the $380 from her. His response to me when I said, why, he said to me, someone give you money, you take it, right?
And I asked him
The
what
answer is, not if I wasn't interested.
No, she didn't give me $380. Like that story she's saying about that 180 and that 200, that's not true.
Well, how much did she give you, sir?
She gave me probably like $50 one time, $70 one time. maybe
Your
$90.
Honor.
Shh, 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 shh.
I mean, she gave me money numerous of times. I figured they were gifts.
Do you understand, Mr. Shaw? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand you very well.
Okay. And so what I'm talking about your son's character.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not talking about her stupidity.
Yes.
I'm talking about his character.
Excuse me,
If
ma'am.
I'm speaking. If she's got 2 children that she has to take care of, and she is not a wealthy person because she's working at a temporary job, she's got 2 kids that she's got to deal with, and I know she doesn't have a lot of money. Your son, who evidently said to you, according to you, would you give Patricia my job so that she can save up a little money?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What kind of character does he have to take money from her?
And I also told him about
No,
that.
just...
Yeah.
I'm asking you, you're his father. Do you think that that demonstrates a person of good character?
No, it doesn't.
Perfect.
Yes.
Sit down.
Thank you.
Like it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $380. That's all. Step out. Thank you.
Parties are excused.
Controller Jill Carson is suing her ex-roommate, 18-year-old Ryan Salgado, for unpaid rent and a security deposit. Ryan says he was forced to move out because of Jill's drug use. He is countersuing for the return of his belongings.
Mr. Salgado, how old are you?
18.
And what do you do for a living, sir?
Unemployed right now.
What did you do 6 months ago?
Nothing.
Did nothing 6 months ago? What did you do 3 months ago?
3 months ago?
Yeah.
I've been working for my mom.
3 months ago, did she fire you?
No.
What were you doing for your mother?
Just helping out with her painting.
What kind of painting?
She does murals.
Are you artistic?
A little bit.
So you don't work. Do you go to school?
No, right now.
But your mother threw you out.
My mother didn't throw me out.
She didn't throw you out, really. She just told you,
Yeah.
go out. Now, why did she do that, Mr. Salgado?
Well...
Well is not an answer, Mr. Salgado. Your mother got tired of you hanging around?
It's more so my father.
Your father and your mother lived together?
Yes.
Great. Your father got fed up with you being a bum.
Yeah.
You know how easy it is to write these stories? Do you know how easy it is to write these stories? All you have to do is live long enough. So your father said, get a job, go to school, or get out.
Basically, yes.
And then you met Miss Carson. Where did you meet Miss Carson, Mr. Salgado?
I met her through Suzanne.
Who was a friend of yours?
Yes.
What does Suzanne do for a living?
She does DIY clothing, sells it on eBay.
And what do you do for a living?
I would do inventory control for a boutique in Salt Lake City.
Now, for some bizarre reason, which I'm sure that you're going to explain to me, you decided to lease an apartment with Mr. Salgado.
Yes.
A two-bedroom apartment.
Yes.
And despite the fact that he has no work history, that he is unemployed, that he has not worked for a year, that his parents threw him out, all of which you knew according to your complaint, you decided he was a good financial risk to sign a lease with on an apartment, right?
Yes.
Yes. And that situation lasted a relatively short period of time because he never gave you any rent.
Correct.
He never gave you any security deposit,
Correct.
right? And then he moved out. And you want him to pay you, let me make sure I get all this right, $3,275, not yen, dollars, for money owed for his half of the rent for a year and his security deposit.
Correct.
I want you to look at him. When do you think the last time was that he saw $3,000 in one place?
He told me that he was getting money from his parents.
Did he?
Yes.
How much money did he say he was getting from his parents?
He said that his parents just came into a lot of money and they could take care of his part of the rent until he found an actual legal job, as opposed to working just for his father or for his mother.
You think his parents were employing him even though they threw him out?
That I wasn't sure about that.
I wasn't sure about that. How old are you?
I'm 24.
Anyway, Mr. Salgado says that he moved out because you were doing drugs and your friends didn't like his brother, right?
Yes.
Is this your brother?
This is my brother.
Looks like a perfectly likable guy to me. And he wasn't staying anywhere where his brother wasn't welcome, right?
Correct.
Who are you living with now, Mr. Salgado?
My parents.
Moved back with your parents, did you?
Yes.
Is your father still coming up to your room every morning and saying, get a job?
Yeah. I recently got one, actually.
Really? What are you doing?
Just at Burger King.
What?
Just at Burger King.
That's a start.
It's a start.
And you get free burgers.
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did you ever do drugs?
No.
Nothing.
Nothing.
You just have this kind of lifestyle because it makes you happy.
What lifestyle?
Nothing.
Oh, nothing, yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jill Carson says ex-roommate Ryan Salgado owes for breaking an apartment lease. Ryan says Jill is a party girl.
You appear to be a smart boy, Mr. Salgado. I don't get the sense that you're an idiot.
I like to think so. I'm not
Did you graduate from high school?
No, I didn't.
When did you leave high school?
Senior year.
Why?
Didn't have enough credits.
Why?
Attendance.
When you weren't going to school, what were you doing?
Sleeping.
Sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you say Miss Carson was doing drugs. Is this the story you want to stick with? Is this your final answer?
Absolutely. It's my final answer.
That's your final answer?
It is.
You want to tell me about it?
She acquired some cocaine, and she frequently did ecstasy in the apartment.
Did you ever see her using drugs?
I didn't see her using them.
That's my question. Did you ever see her using the drugs?
No.
Did you ever see the drugs in the apartment?
No.
If you never saw Miss Carson using drugs in the apartment, why did you feel threatened? Or were you more threatened, sir, by the fact that your brother wasn't welcome there anymore?
I knew she was doing the drugs in the apartment. I knew she was in her room doing them. She told me.
Did you ever do drugs?
No.
Nothing.
Nothing.
You just have this kind of lifestyle because it makes you happy.
What lifestyle?
Nothing.
Oh, nothing, yes. Yes.
Do you live at home too?
I do.
Do you do anything?
I go to school. I work.
How old are you?
I'm 20.
What don't your friends like about him?
He had threatened her boyfriend, telling him through emails that he was going to slit his throat and he knew where they slept.
Did you ever send her boyfriend an email? Easy, yes?
Yes, I've sent emails
Okay.
still.
Why?
We were friends.
And?
Well, things fell apart. You know,
And?
the situation at his house was becoming hostile.
At whose house?
Suzanne and her boyfriend Chris's.
Did you ever threaten him?
No, I didn't.
Did you ever say anything nasty to him?
Yes, I have.
Like what?
Not things that could be said on television.
Okay, so that's the reason why you were told that your brother wasn't welcome there anymore.
Yeah.
Did you tell him that?
Yes, I did.
You can't do that.
I had felt threatened by him the night before I even got into any kind of conversation. The night we came home from Boston, Chris kind of got up into my face and he clenched his fist and told me that he was just trying to keep himself from being incredibly violent towards someone at that moment. I asked him who he was speaking of, and he just moved closer to my face and didn't say anything. And I felt threatened, and I told Ryan that I wasn't comfortable with him, and I...
Did that happen, Chris?
No, Your Honor, I did not.
Well, what happened?
Well, I was angry at Chris, and I was kind of expressing it to Jill because at the time I didn't have a problem with her. I had baked her a birthday cake that night.
So you didn't have a problem with her, but you just had a problem with this other guy.
Right, and I was trying to explain to her how frustrated I was with her friend.
Okay. Well, Ms. Carson, you can't tell a co-tenant that he's not allowed to have whoever he wants in the house if he's on the lease. But why didn't you pay any rent, Mr. Salgado?
I was in the process of looking for a job.
Well, you can't live rent-free. She's not your mother.
She told me that I wouldn't have to pay rent until, because she was going to have a family member help until October. And I was looking for a job until then.
He had mentioned that he couldn't get the money for me, like, right away. So I said I could cover it until then. However, I needed it by October 1st.
Who else lives in the house with you now, Miss Carson?
It's just myself.
What's the rent?
$525 a month.
Okay. Clearly, you people don't want to live together anymore, nor do I think you have to. But, Mr. Salgado, you have to help her out for a little bit. I think that you ought to give her at least 2 months' notice before you just move out and stick her with rent. Don't you think that that's a mature thing to do?
It is.
Even though she was foolish in taking you on as a roommate when you had absolutely no way of paying her any money.
Absolutely.
What do you mean, absolutely?
It's the truth.
I know it's true.
After they were served the papers, I had gone home. I was sick, and I fell asleep on the couch, and I wake up to someone banging on my door rather violently and constantly just ringing the doorbell. I looked out the window, and I saw the back of Chris Salgado's head. You can hear them in every room. They're banging on the windows.
Peculiar. The whole thing is peculiar.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I know it's all true, which makes me even sadder for this country. What? I have to make a decision. So, you're going to give her $525, which is your half of 2 months' rent, so that she has an opportunity over the next 2 months to either decide what she wants to do, stay in this lease, get out of the lease, or find a roommate to help her subsidize what you're not going to help her subsidize because you moved out. And I want to tell you something. I wish your parents well with the two of you. Oh, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $525. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may...
Coordinator Debbie Upp is suing her former co-worker, computer consultant Thomas Rodriguez, for unpaid rent and a loan to buy a computer. Thomas claims Debbie gave him the computer as a gift.
Miss Upp, Mr. Rodriguez was a friend of yours. You allowed him to move into your house for a short period of time. You claimed that he owes you for a month's rent.
Correct.
And in addition, you advanced him on your credit money to buy a computer.
Correct.
According to you, he agreed to make the payments to the company. He made a couple, but when he left, he stopped making the payments, and you want those payments.
Correct.
Mr. Rodriguez says that the computer was very lovely, but it was, in fact, a gift from you. And second, he says that he doesn't owe you any money for rent. He was out of your home, and you had agreed to allow him to store some stuff there until he could get it out, but he doesn't owe you for the month, I think it was July. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Why did you move into Miss Up's home, sir?
Well, at the time, I didn't have a place to stay, so
Why didn't you have a place to stay?
Well, I had an argument with the girlfriend, and I didn't have a place to stay, and she offered me a place to live at.
How did you know her?
I know her from work. We've worked with each other before, and I've known her for about 3 years.
What kind of work?
Auto sales.
Why did you invite him to come to live in your home?
Well, we had been friends for a couple of years, and we had done a lot of stuff together, hung out together, gone to movies together, things like that.
Just the two of you?
Yeah, yeah. I knew he needed a place to live, and I had an extra bedroom, and I said, you know, for a couple $100 a month, you can rent my room in my house.
Did he give you any money towards rent while he lived there?
Yes, he did. He moved in the end of November, actually Thanksgiving weekend. He paid me for the month of December mid-month. I had agreed that he could pay me mid-month instead of being strapped at the end of the month.
Fine. So he paid you for December, January, February, March, April, May, and June?
And June.
What happened in June?
In June, as he said, he had gotten back together with a girlfriend. He ended up not spending a lot of time at home while they were renewing their relationship. So he spent many nights away, still had a key, still had a garage door opener, came and went as he pleased. And
still had clothes there?
Still had clothes there. He had...
This was the month of June or July?
Actually, both. He, I guess, renewed this relationship sometime in mid-June, and throughout July they kept going and decided that that was going to be... I presume that they're still in a relationship. I have no idea.
Good. When did you get your last bit of stuff out of the house, sir?
End of June, early July.
Well, you have to pay for July if you still had stuff there in July, sir.
Well, I had already previously paid her for that month already in the
July.
middle of June. Like on June 21st was the last time I paid her for the rent.
Did you stay there at all in July?
No, I wasn't there at all in July.
Yes, he did. He, like I said, he came and went as he pleased in June, and in July, in fact, he spent July 4th weekend at home because I guess his girlfriend was out of town.
Does that sound familiar?
No, actually, July, I wasn't there at all.
July 4th weekend she's talking about,
yeah,
sir.
July, I was just there to pick up my personal items.
Okay. All right, let's get to the computer, which is really what we're talking about, because the rent is $200. Let's get to the computer. When did he buy the computer?
In May, I had agreed that he could use my credit with the conditions that he would make the monthly payments, but he had also said that he would try to pay it off as soon as possible because he doesn't like to have debt. The computer arrived, he made the June payment of $103, he made the July payment.
Who did he make the June payment to?
Actually, he paid me and then I paid the company.
Gave you in cash?
Check.
You have a copy of the check, sir?
No, I don't have a copy of the check.
Why
with me.
not?
I didn't realize I would need it.
Copy of your check register, sir.
No, actually, I don't have that with me.
Why don't you have it with you?
I wasn't aware that I would actually need it.
Of course you need it. Where'd you think you were coming?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Debbie Up says former co-worker Thomas Rodriguez owes for a computer. Thomas says Debbie is infatuated with him.
Why would she, Mr. Rodriguez, buy you a computer worth thousands of dollars?
She said it was a gift. She said that...
Mr. Rodriguez, I want you to listen to my words. Why would she buy you a gift worth thousands of dollars?
Because she had feelings for me.
And you had no feelings for her?
No, I told her...
Shh. The answer is either yes or no. Is that right?
Yes.
So you had no feelings for her in any other way other than a friend. So why would you encourage her feelings for you by accepting a gift worth thousands of dollars?
I figured, I thought about it, and I figured I wouldn't look at a gift horse in the mouth, and I figured, I would take it.
Oh, dear.
Do you honestly, Mr. Rodriguez, believe that this lady finds you attractive?
Actually, what happened was, like about a month in June, she actually told me...
She's an intelligent, appears to be at least an intelligent, working woman. Why would she spend thousands of dollars on you when you can't even afford to have a decent place to live?
Well, that wasn't the case. The thing was I was just trying to avoid getting into a lease.
Just a second. You mean you could afford a decent place to live?
Yes.
You have children, Mr. Rodriguez?
I have a daughter.
How old?
13.
Do you support her?
Yes.
How much do you send?
$285.23 every 2 weeks, so about $600.
Do they take that money out of your pay, sir?
Yes, I have taken out my check each month.
No, they take it out of your pay. Because there was probably a time when you weren't paying regular child support, so they decided to take it out of your pay, correct?
Well, I would make payments arrangements to her with her mom.
Listen to what I'm saying, Mr. Rodriguez. I'm 10 steps ahead of you, sir.
Mm.
You weren't making regular child support payments, so they decided to do it by income deduction order and taking it out of your pay. Does that sound right?
Well, no, I've always, like I said, I've always paid her mom, you know, for whatever she needed.
You mean diapers for your teenage daughter and things like that? Diapers, Pampers, formula, that kind of thing?
Clothes, whatever she needed. Even, you know, purchased her mom a car when she didn't have no transportation.
Let me see the bill for the computer.
This
I hate
is the original.
people who use other people. I'm speaking. That
I'm
they think
sorry.
somebody is lonesome, and because they're lonesome and they need company, they're prepared to pay for that company, which is clearly what you thought, which I think is probably one of the most amoral things one person can do to another. We understand each other, Mr. Rodriguez?
No, like I...
Do we understand me? That doesn't mean that you will like what I said. I want to know if you understand what I said.
I hear what you're saying.
You're going to eat the rent. But you're going to get your $2,900 for your computer. Original price of the computer was $3,152. According to you, we made 2 payments of $103, $104 each.
Correct.
Worth $2,900. You still have the computer, sir?
Yes, I do.
Are you enjoying it?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Rodriguez, are you trying to think ahead of what would be the right answer when I'm asking you a question so that you don't again put your foot in your mouth? Is that why you're pausing?
No, I'm just listening to what you're saying.
Got it. Judgment for the plaintiff, the amount of $2,900.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
23-year-old Gerald Lamanck is suing fellow partygoer Daryl Miner for knocking over his laptop computer during a party. Gerald says Daryl had been drinking all day.
Mr. Lamanck?
Yes.
You attended a 30th anniversary party at the home of the defendant?
No, it was at the home of a friend of mine.
Defendant was a guest.
Yes.
And you brought your computer with you in order to play music.
Correct.
And it is your claim that Mr. Miner damaged your computer.
Correct.
Mr. Miner says that you balanced this computer in a very precarious way, that he did bump into it, but nothing happened to it, and you shouldn't have brought it anyway. Right, so far?
Right, so far, yes.
Good. When was this party?
August 21st.
Now, what prompted you to bring your computer?
I brought the computer for musical entertainment.
Didn't they have a radio?
We did have a radio on top of 2 speakers, along with the computer.
Okay, so you had 2 big speakers. How tall were the speakers?
About 3 or 4 feet tall. I have pictures.
I'd like to see pictures.
I have pictures of where the computer was and that it was balanced on the speakers.
Oh, I see where it is. I see it's balanced on one of the speakers.
And the ground there was quite level, and the speakers were level.
I see where it's balanced on one of the speakers.
With room to spare. There's room around the whole computer.
It's balanced on one of the speakers. Okay, now who saw Mr. Miner damage the computer? Okay, step up. Who are you?
My name's Raylene Luby, and I'm his cousin.
Whose cousin?
Daryl, Mr. Miner.
Okay, go ahead.
There was a tent there, and so I went outside the tent by the computer and where the beer was, and I was getting a beer, and he came around the corner, and he said, "What are you doing?" And then all of a sudden, he fell forward onto his knees, and the thing slammed shut. The speaker moved. He straightened the speaker back up, stood back up. I walked around. I said, "Jerry, you better go look at your computer." Daryl fell on it.
When he fell on it, it was during the afternoon?
No, it was nighttime.
Had you spoken to Mr. Miner earlier that evening?
Yeah.
Was he fine?
Well, he was drunk.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. He was drunk?
Sure.
What do you mean, sure? I mean, you don't necessarily
been
go to a
drinking
party
all
and
day.
get drunk. What?
He was quite drunk.
So when he fell on the computer, he was drunk?
Sure, yes.
Okay. Go.
Your Honor, when I got there, it started at 3 o'clock. My wife and I showed up. They were playing Irish music. Party went on.
Can we get to the computer, Mr. Miner? Do you remember falling?
I remember hitting the speaker. I was going for a beer. There was a space maybe about 2 foot to get in there. The way the speaker was set up, it was set up so you had to go around it a little bit. which I did.
Did you have too much to drink, Mr. Minor? Your cousin says you did.
Well, they had Jello shots there.
Did you have too much to drink?
Did I have too much to drink? No, I was walking. I didn't have that much to drink.
I have 2 pictures there, Your Honor, with him with a beer cup in his hand, and he was drinking all day long.
Well, I assume that he was.
It's an anniversary party for my cousins.
Okay.
I live around the corner.
So what happened to the computer? Is that what it looks like now?
Yes. The computer was damaged, the screen from here to here, and in between in the middle. And it's shattered.
What do you want to say? First, who are you?
I'm his wife.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that he wasn't the only one that was drunk. Everybody at the party was drunk. That's why I left early. I do not drink, and it's no fun being with a bunch of people who are drinking.
I'm with you.
So I left. So he was not the only one drunk, and he was not the only one who probably bumped into that speaker.
Well, that you don't know. All you know is that that's his cousin.
Right.
She said the computer was working on top of the speaker. He was drunk, and he fell over, and he knocked it over, and that's what happened.
Right, that's what she says, because she was drunk too.
That may be. However, there's no question that the computer was broken, right?
We don't know that.
Well,
it's
I know
broken
that.
now.
Well, I know that. I mean, did she have a vendetta against you? Listen, Mr. Minor, when you drink, and sometimes you don't remember what happens because you drink too much, sometimes it turns out okay, and sometimes it doesn't turn out okay. In this case, it did not turn out okay. He's allowed to bring his computer to the party. He's allowed to place it someplace, and if you weren't intoxicated, then I would say, well, it's an accident. You fell over, and that's what happens. But when you allow yourself to become inebriated to the extent where you're not steady on your feet and damage occurs, you're responsible, sir. There's no question you're responsible. Then there may have been a lot of other people who were drinking, and there may have been a lot of other people who could have fallen over, but they didn't. You did. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $757. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step.
Plaintiff Angela Marie is suing her daughter, set painter Lisa Kales, for a series of unpaid loans. Lisa says her mother abandoned her when she was a child.
All rise. Yes, it's case number 326 on the calendar in the matter of Marie versus Kales. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Marie, the defendant is your daughter. And it is your claim that she was disabled, and while she was waiting for her disability to come through, her Social Security disability?
Yes.
You loaned her money, and when she got her retroactive money, she did not reimburse you for the monies you had loaned to her. Your daughter says that you did, in fact, help her while she was waiting for her disability to come through. You did so because you were her mother, because you had not been much of a mother previously to her, and there was never any arrangement between the two of you for payback of the money that you advanced her while she was sick. Okay. How many children do you have, Miss Marie?
Your Honor, I have 3.
How old are they?
In their 30s.
How old is the defendant?
34.
Did they always live with you when they were young?
I raised them until while I was working, they were 3 children from hell. I mean, what they were...
Could you just answer my question? Were they living with you, or were they not living with you during all their minority?
I was taking full responsibility for them.
You want to answer my question?
Till I was 10 years old.
And where did you go when you were 10?
She took my brothers and I to my aunt's house, and we stayed there for 2 or 3 years, and I never went back after that. Group homes, foster homes, friends.
So after the time you were 10 years old, you did not live with your mother?
No.
Are you the older of the children, or?
I'm the youngest.
And how old are your brothers and sisters?
36 and 38.
What's the nature of your disability?
Bilateral carpal tunnel.
Did you have surgery?
Yes.
Didn't work?
No.
All right, Miss Marie, you want to tell me about the money that you allegedly loaned to your daughter?
Okay, I have been supporting her because she has not kept... She's not been able to keep a job. I kept giving her money, and she promised to pay me back. A car was involved. I have, besides loaning her money, I have given her. I've bought her.
I just want to know about the loans, Miss Marie.
It's a running tab, Your Honor. She started the tab in her handwriting and said, from now on, whatever I borrow, you keep the receipts and you put it on the tab.
Let me see.
There's 3 things on this list from
The
1997.
Can I see it, please?
Pay me back.
Well, the first letter says that this is about the car that you mentioned, and she says that happened 7 years ago. We had no agreement, nothing was signed. You were helping me out because I'm your daughter. And the second letter that you showed me is, you have written here, October 2003. You say you have done and still are doing a lot of wonderful things for me. Please don't think it goes unappreciated. Does that sound familiar to you?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I have every intention of paying you back. My plan is to pay you all at once out of my settlement. You've been so patient about the whole situation, and I thank you for that. I am sure it's been very difficult. If you could just hold out a little longer until my case settles, I promise you will be completely reimbursed.
My case hasn't settled. You have to say something to this woman, or she will come slash her tires, or take you to court.
I beg your
or
no.
she'll get you.
No.
She will get you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I can read forever. If you give me an hour, it's not enough.
I don't have an hour.
I know,
what I'm asking
but I'm
you,
trying to tell you that this woman is lying, Your Honor.
1, 2,
okay,
and then you're gone.
And later today.
Where did she hit you?
In the face somewhere.
And what did you do to her?
Bit her.
You bit her?
On the job.
Sounds like a relationship made in heaven.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Angela Marie claims her daughter, Lisa Kales, owes for many unpaid loans. Angela says she is currently homeless.
Go ahead.
This has been the most abusive situation I've ever been in my life, and I never allowed her abuse to keep me from giving to her. I was at her beck and call. I was her doctor. I was her therapist. I did everything.
You're my mother.
I'm stunned.
Listen to me.
These are letters telling how much he has abused me over the years and has lied about this. It would be nice to think that we could walk around the park and could solve all our problems, but I see that I am the cause of all our problems, so maybe I need to go walking alone. Yeah. I mean, Lisa is lying. I can read forever. If you give me an hour, it's not enough.
I don't have an hour.
I know,
what I'm asking
but I'm
you,
trying to tell
Madam,
you that this woman is lying, Your Honor. A mother is obligated to their children to the age of 18.
I'm speaking.
I was out of the house
I'm
at
speaking, and you're not getting.
I've been supporting her forever.
1, 2.
Okay.
And then you're gone. How do you support yourself? I'm asking you a question. How do you support yourself?
Up until about 2 years ago, a transcriptionist.
How do you support yourself now?
Now I have been disabled. I have been borrowing from General Relief. I had to pay that all back. I have been certified. I went to a hearing. I'm certified disabled for several things. And
listen to me very carefully. If you've been giving your daughter money, and if you've been helping her for the last 2 years with money that you have gotten
from... Not 2 years.
Listen to me. I'm speaking. Carefully. Carefully. You just told me that up until 2 years ago you were employed as a transcriptionist. Since that time you have not been employed. You were receiving general relief, you were receiving disability. So if you supported your daughter over the last 2 years, you were supporting her, since you have to say when you get general relief that you have no income and you have no money, you were supporting her out of state money. You were supporting her out of money that comes from the general population. I don't understand why a mother, if her daughter is disabled, if her daughter is
She's
ill,
not disabled.
if her daughter...
She's not disabled.
Well, neither am I. Your case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You can step
I
out.
can't believe that it came to this. I have been everything to this girl, and I've been giving her all my money, and she's laughing there.
I was kind of hoping that she would win because she's not going to let it go. I want a restraining order now.
She has been coercing me by being nice to me to get more money out of me.
We try, we don't get along, we get along, we don't get along.
There is no relationship. There hasn't been one. I asked her to please go get counseling. I realize now that I'm going to need it also.
Maybe we could, yay, you know, but I don't see us speaking again.
And now the next case. Naval Officer Marvin Brayfield and his wife, Jennifer Jesse, are suing the former guardian of Marvin's son, Carolyn Blake, for filing false charges with Child Protective Services. Carolyn claims Marvin kidnapped his boy.
This is case number 353 on the calendar in the matter of Brakefield Jesse versus Blake. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Mr. Brakefield, this is your girlfriend, is that right?
This is my wife.
This is your wife now?
Yes.
At the time of this, it was your girlfriend?
At the time of it, yeah.
Okay. According to what I read, several years ago, you had either a relationship with somebody, you had a brief marriage.
I was married to my first wife.
Okay. And that marriage produced a child.
Yes, it did.
A child that your then-wife was not interested in raising.
That's correct.
And you took custody of that child.
Yes, I did.
But you weren't either in a position or you weren't interested in being a full-time parent either. So you turned your son over to the defendant for the purpose of care. And Mrs. Blake cared for your son for how many years?
21 months.
And during that 21 months, you were in the armed forces?
Yes.
Where were you stationed?
It was in Point Loma, California, in San Diego.
And Mrs. Blake cared for your son every day? He slept there?
Not full-time, no. She was a daycare provider and a close friend.
You mean your son was only there during the day?
He was there during the day, except for Tuesdays and Thursday nights, where she offered to keep him overnight so that I could go work out at the gym and perhaps get some more personal time.
Other than that, he slept at your house?
He slept overnight at my house, yes.
Is that correct?
No, it's not correct. He was with me 24/7 for the first 4 months. He didn't even come by to visit his son, but twice. That was only after we requested it.
So for the first 4 months, he was with you full-time?
He was with me full-time the whole 21 months.
Does that sound right?
No, it's not correct at all.
Okay. Whether the child was with you 24/7 for the first 4 months or 21 months practically full-time, you started a new relationship with the co-plaintiff, and you decided that it was no longer necessary for Mrs. Blake to take care of your son, so you picked him up one day from her home, didn't tell her that you did not plan to return him, and took him, I assume, back to your house.
Yes.
Mrs. Blake called Child Protective Services. She tried to contact you. She didn't know where you were. She didn't know where the child was. She called Child Protective Services, and she made a report of suspected child abuse and/or neglect. And you did do that.
Yes,
you acknowledged that you did that.
Yes, I did, and I was concerned deeply about Cody. He was not ever out of my sight without me knowing where he was more than 2 days.
Just a second. Well, that's what your case is involving. Your case is involving this call to Child Protective Services, which you say were unnecessary and unwarranted, causing you all kinds of grief, and you want to be compensated for that.
Yes.
And Mrs. Blake said that what you really did was amount to kidnapping this child without telling her that you were taking him, without telling her that you did not intend to return him to the home. And she had a legitimate concern about his well-being, and she called Child Protective Services. Right?
That's correct.
So, there's no question that for almost 2 years, Miss Blake was an integral part of your son's life. Is that right?
That's true.
How did he refer to her?
Mom.
I'm asking him.
He called her mommy because that's how she'd call him mommy. She'd call him mamas, so that it would what he would say when he was around her.
All I want to know from you is, I want a direct answer to my question. Direct answer to my question, Mr. Brakefield, is that he called the defendant mommy, right?
Yes.
Cody also calls him mommy. He also calls me mommy. He calls a lot of people mommy.
I didn't ask you anything yet. Nothing. How did you find Mrs. Blake?
She was a wife of one of my coworkers when I was at a different command.
You must have regarded her highly if you turned your son over to her.
I didn't have anybody else.
So what you're telling me is you would have turned him over to anybody because you needed a babysitter. Is that what you're telling me?
No. She offered to help me out. I was in a tight situation. She offered to help me out, and I accepted her help.
Mr. Brakefield, you're not going to be able to get away from my question. Either you believed that she was a quality caregiver, or you didn't know whether she was a quality caregiver or not, but you used her anyway.
I believe she was a quality caregiver.
That's a better answer. So, did anything happen during the course of the 21 months that Mrs. Blake was caring for your son that led you to believe that she was not a quality caregiver?
Yes.
Tell me what that was.
There were several occasions where I went into her house when picking my son up from her. There would be dog feces outside of her bedroom or down near her office, and she would tell her son to clean it up, and it would just stay there.
So that happened when?
On several occasions.
How much into the babysitting?
It was probably anywhere from 6 months to a year and a half into it.
Well, you weren't sufficiently concerned about that to take your son out and find a different daycare for him, right?
I felt it was something that I could resolve
How could you resolve that?
by talking to her and saying, no, I've brought this up to you on past occasions.
So what I'm asking you is, it never reached the point where you felt as if your child was in danger.
Not in physical danger, no.
Well, in physical danger from being in a place that was unclean.
Well, he was allowed to walk around with cleaning products like the dishwasher pillow packets. I brought that up, and I was told, oh, he can't break those open. They're tough to open. You can barely, it's hard to open them, so he's perfectly safe.
When during the course of her babysitting for your son did that happen? How old was he?
It actually happened on multiple occasions. I just kept bringing it up, and they said, oh, he's fine. And then one day I get a phone call from her saying, well, I'm not going to let him walk around with the cleaners anymore. He just sprayed 409 into Trevor's eyes.
When did you take your son out of Miss Blake's care?
On the 25th of July of this year.
And what was the impetus of you doing that?
I have a letter that I sent her that listed the reasons why I was terminating her services.
Let me see the letter.
The straw that broke the camel's back was that I allowed her to take my son to Las Vegas because she was going there for 4 days, one of which on the very first day was my dad's day off because my father lives there. And I would figure, well, she can take my son to see his grandfather.
Yes.
So the very first day that she was there, it was my dad's day off. My dad did not see his grandson that day.
Right.
My dad didn't see his grandson until the night before they left, and only for half an hour. So I was on the phone with my dad when she walked in the front door. So my dad says, well, they're here. I'm going to see my grandson. I hung up the phone. A half hour later, I called him back expecting to hear, oh, yeah, everything's going great. You know, I'm loving my grandson. I don't get that. I get, she doesn't like you. I said, well, Dad, why doesn't she like me? She has nothing good to say about you. She said, you're self-centered. She says, you're never there for your son. And I said, you know, this is why I had her as a babysitter, because I'm in the Navy and sometimes I do work some late hours and I live 40 miles from work. So sometimes I go home and I sit in traffic for an hour and a half and I don't get there till 6, 7 o'clock at night. And it's not that I don't want to be there for my son. It's just that I had her services so that I wouldn't have to go to my boss and say, it's 4 o'clock, I got to pick up my son from daycare.
Your Honor? Just a second. Okay. So are you telling me that the reason you decided to terminate her employment, by the way, how much did you pay her?
$300 twice a month. My father also told me that...
Don't tell me anything that your father told you, sir, because that's all hearsay. So you paid her a little over $600 a month. Is that right?
He didn't pay for the first 4 months. We got the baby on December 26th. He had nothing, no diapers, no clothes, no items. This is the first baby item I bought him.
Just a second. So what you're telling me, the first 4 months
4
he
months,
gave you...
nothing, not
Is that right?
one dime.
No, that's not true.
Show me proof that for the first 4 months you paid her $300 twice a month.
I paid her in cash. She insisted on it.
And later?
It was all cash. I mean, I paid her by check one time, and she got upset because she said she didn't want to have to make a trip to the bank.
So let me ask you this question, sir. You wrote this after you had already taken your son
out of her
without
care.
telling her.
Right.
So
but she
Your
has
Honor, I have court documents to where Carolyn was so involved in his divorce and so pushy in regards to the care of Carolyn that the attorney actually asked that she not be in the picture anymore.
Doesn't make any difference. I told you once before. I didn't ask you anything. When did you meet him?
In March.
When did you start dating?
March.
And were you dating in April?
Yes.
Where did you live?
In Oceanside.
How did you meet him?
I met him online.
And when did you decide to get married?
June.
So you decided to get married in June, and in July, all of these irritants that had been bothering him for 2 years all of a sudden made it so that he took the child out of Miss Blake's custody without giving her any advanced warning. Is that the time frame we're talking about?
That's right.
Right. I got it. So you'll answer me when I ask you a question. Do you have children?
No.
Okay. Is somebody from Child Protective Services currently monitoring your home?
No, they closed the case.
Did I look as if I was looking at you? I was looking at him.
They closed the case and they sent they gave me a letter.
I want to see the closed letter.
Brakefield and his wife Jennifer Jesse claim child care provider Carolyn Blake falsely accused him of kidnapping his son.
Mr. Brakefield, you're coming to court today, a man who, because of circumstances, finds himself in a position of having to care for an infant full-time and have a job. You did it with the help of Miss Blake for almost 2 years.
Right.
Then you meet this lady, and I gather from your complaint and from her answer that these two ladies did not get along.
At first they did when I first brought her over to her house.
Right now, it may be the first minute. After that, they did not get along. And within a month of the two of you deciding to make a life together, you remove Cody from Miss Blake's custody and don't tell her that you're not coming back. And expect her, listen to me, sir, and expect her to just say, well, I guess he decided to take the boy himself. There you go. And forget about it. And some 3.5 weeks later, send her a letter outlining why you took him from her custody. I don't think that's right. So,
I wasn't sure what her reaction would be, and I didn't want to risk
all you have to
being
do is
screamed
send her a
at and yelled at.
telegram. I decided to terminate your responsibilities with regard to Cody. I will not be bringing him back. After I return from vacation, I have found another daycare provider, period.
I don't think it would have made a difference in her reaction.
Well, you don't know, but at least you would have done the right thing.
I have several harassing phone calls on my cell phone. She threatened to sue for custody of my son. The time she threatened to call CPS. She called my command on several occasions. There are times that she on several of the phone calls says, I am Cody's mother, and even has a message directly to Cody saying, this is mommy, this is your mother. It's just, anybody who's ever read this or heard the messages thinks we did the right thing by getting him out of her care.
Listen to me. I don't necessarily think you did the wrong thing by deciding to resume full-time physical custody of your child. You now had a fiancé who was going to be living with you, so you were in a better position to take care of him. I don't fault you, sir, for removing Cody and deciding to take him back in your full-time charge. I fault you for the method in which you did it. You did it in a heartless fashion, very heartless. Not only heartless for her, but heartless for your son. He's a 2-year-old child. And the only maternal figure that he's known in 2 years is her. So whether you decide to take him back full-time, you sit down, you have a conversation, and you say, listen, you may like it, you may not like it, but I'm getting married, and I am going to take Cody back. We're going to make a family, the three of us, but I'd like to be able to do this in an orderly fashion. I'd like to be able to bring him to you 3 days a week, and then bring him 2 days a week, and then down to 1 day a week, and you can always visit him so that the transition for my son would be easier. Do you understand what I'm saying to you, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
If she rejected that, you've at least done the right thing. But you can't do the wrong thing and then come to court and expect me to feel sorry for you because after you did the wrong thing, she called Child Protective Services. What you did was wrong. What you did was abusive to a child who has the only other parent that they know, the one that they're with most of the time, because when you pick him up after work, then he goes to sleep. And that's those days that you're not picking him up because you're going to the gym and taking care of other personal business, right, according to you.
It's part of my job. It's mandatory. It's a mandatory military regulation that you work out 3 days a week.
Great! What does your 2-year-old son have to do with that? All he knows is the only person that's taking care of him is her.
Yep.
And what you did was precipitously and without any thought to how it was going to impact on him, you removed him from the only family that he knew without a transition. And that, as far as I'm concerned, was abusive. And that, as far as I'm concerned, deserves a call to Child Protective Services and say, what kind of person has this kind of judgment? I'm afraid for the kind of judgment that he is exercising with regard to this 2-year-old. You got my drift? I've raised some children, and I have grandchildren, and you're supposed to take the position as a parent that you're supposed to do what's best for them, the children, all the time. Now, it's best for your girlfriend, but what's best for the child. Right. Not even for what's best for her. Right. She's not the issue. You're grown-ups. He's not a grown-up. He's a baby. And you and your first wife put him in a position. You had bad judgment when you picked wife numero uno. I hope that you had better judgment when you picked numero due. I'm not so sure. But you and your first wife, it was your bad judgment picking somebody who wasn't ready to have a family. It was second poor judgment that you had a baby with somebody that wasn't ready to have a family. You find a caregiver who was given your child, was kept him safe, fed, clean, because you didn't remove him from her custody for 2 years, so evidently her care could not have been that inadequate, sir. And then when you decide to do it, you do it in a fashion that is not designed to ease the transition. As far as I'm concerned, that's neglectful and very bad judgment. So did you call Child Protective Services?
Yes, you better believe I did.
Good for you. Your case is dismissed.
How does our exclusion? Let's step out.
Daycare provider Christine Coughlin and her 5-year-old daughter, Katara, are suing their neighbors. Customer service rep Chanel Noel and her daughter, 8-year-old Sequoia. Christine claims Sequoia purposely scratched her car with a rock. Chanel is countersuing, claiming Christine's son slashed her tires.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 341 on the calendar in the matter of Coughlin versus Noel. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Coughlin, it is your claim that this young lady, I assume this young lady, vandalized your car. She was a friend of your daughter's. They played together. For some reason, they had a misunderstanding, and you claim that she took a rock, scratched your car. Ms. Noel says that her daughter was not alone. Don't deny that she did it, but you say she was not alone, and that in retaliation for that, your son slashed the tires on her car. So she's got a counterclaim. Are you neighbors?
Yes. Yes.
How far away do you live from each other?
Right next door.
What was the date of the incident involving your car?
August 29th, 2004.
You have pictures of the car?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see the pictures of the car. What makes you think Sequoia damaged your car?
They were all outside playing, all the children, with Katara, and Katara came in the house crying, saying that Sequoia upset her. So I said, okay, we'll stay in the house. After that, I went out to do laundry, and I noticed a big scratch on the side of my car.
Okay. Now, what proof do you have that Sequoia did that damage to your car?
It's in the police report. She had admitted doing it.
Can I see the police report, please? Sequoia, you want to tell me why you scratched the car?
Because her and her husband and her son, they were constantly keep calling me like retarded, well, I don't want to say it. They kept calling me and
That's
stuff.
not true.
Yeah. Shh. And they kept going on with it, and I only thing that I did was tell my mom.
So that's why you scratched the car?
Well, they were calling me retarded and stuff.
I'm asking you a question. That's why you scratched the car with a rock? You can't do that. Did your mother tell you you couldn't do that? Well, you can't. If somebody says something nasty to you to hurt your feelings, that makes them wrong. That makes them not smart. But that doesn't give you the right to damage their property. Got it? Did your mother tell you that?
Yes.
Okay, how much is it going to cost to fix the paint on the car?
Approximately $921.
Do you have an estimate?
Yes, I do. It was scratched before. The estimate I do have, I'm sorry, is $361.56.
361?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you want to tell me about the damage to your car and when that happened?
September 19th.
What happened?
I went to take my son to his football game. I came back to pick her up to go to the football game. I came back downstairs and my tires were sliced.
Who did it?
Well, I assumed my next door neighbors did it.
Well, what proof do you have that they did it?
I didn't have any proof at the time.
Do you have any proof now?
Actually, I have a witness that overheard her son bragging about the second time they sliced my tires 3 days after that.
I'll hear the witness. You're the son, I assume.
Yes, ma'am.
Stand up. Tell me who you are.
Tanisha Cooley, their babysitter.
What do you know about the tires being slashed on Mrs. Noel's car?
The day after the tires were slashed in school, me and my friend were walking down the hall. We were walking behind him and his friends. And I heard him saying that, yeah, yesterday me and my dad sliced our neighbor's tires.
And when you heard that, what did you do?
Right after school, when Chanel came home, I told her and my mom.
Same day,
yes.
Is that right? Were you angry?
Yes, I was.
And what about your father? Was he angry?
Yes.
That's not a way to respond. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
So why did you do it?
I did not.
So you're telling me this young lady is lying about this last... Yes. Why do you think she would make up a story like that?
I don't know.
Who would you think would have another motive to slash their tires?
Nobody to my knowledge.
Not you or not your father? So you think she's lying?
Yes.
Did you call the police?
Yes, I did.
Can I see the police report, please? You can sit down. Could you stand up, please? Is this young lady your daughter?
Yes.
I want you to think back to the 23rd of September. I want you to tell me about the conversation you had with your daughter when she came home from school.
She told me that she overheard Michael saying that him and his father slashed the tires.
She told you that on the 23rd?
Yes.
What's the name of the person that he was with?
I don't know them.
In school? You don't know who they are?
No.
How many other boys was he with?
2.
You have a bill for the tire that was slashed on the 22nd?
I don't have a bill. I paid to get my car done. Here.
Well, I need a bill for the tire. That's what we're talking about. Tire was $16.53?
Used one.
Look, I believe her. I just want you to understand that. Whether you were just bragging, I don't know. But I believe that she heard you say it. So I'm deducting $16 from the award of $361 that you're entitled to have your car painted. I haven't a clue why people who were neighbors engage in a course of conduct to make their lives absolutely miserable. It's just so absolutely ridiculous to me. There's no question that your daughter behaved badly. I assume that as a parent, you told her that when someone says something that's hurtful to you, they're really just stupid, uninformed people, and not to pay any attention to it. I assume that you had that conversation with her. And if you didn't, you have to have that conversation with her, that she can't take out her frustrations because she's just going to end up in trouble. What?
Well, she wrote on our wall and on our hallway wall, and my mom has to pay for that. And she wrote on theirs too.
Are you making an excuse for yourself?
Mm-mm.
Don't. If she does something wrong, like write on a wall, how old is she? 5. And how old are you?
8.
You're supposed to know better, and you're not supposed to make excuses for doing the wrong thing. And you're certainly old enough to know better. All right, take your children home. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $345. I've deducted the $16 for the tire that your son and probably your husband was responsible for. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I've also had my tire slashed 3 times.
They got problems. I'm done.
Her daughters pushed shopping carts into my car.
Just mad.
The little girl is very angry. She's very angry. The mother works 12-hour, 14-hour days, 6 days a week.
She was mean to me.
It's something that's going to be ongoing until Mrs. Noel gets help with her child.
And now the next case. Provider clerk Lisa Gaviola is suing her former friend, drug and alcohol counselor Rhonda Turner, for damages to her rental car. Rhonda says the car was stolen, so she's not responsible.
Right. Yeah, this is case number 362 on the calendar, the matter of Gaviola versus Turner. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Ms. Gaviola, the defendant was a friend of yours?
Yes.
And the two of you decided to go on a road trip for something, for business? Was it?
We were invited to a music festival in Hollywood.
And where were you coming from?
Sacramento.
You rented a car, and when you got to Hollywood, you loaned the defendant the car.
Correct.
It is your claim that she wrecked the car, and you are being held responsible by the rental car company.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Turner says she did not wreck the car. She was using the car was stolen, and somebody else wrecked it. So it's not her responsibility. That's your defense.
Yes.
You hesitated. That's what I read. Is that wrong?
No.
Okay. When were you going to the festival?
It was Friday, July 9th. I left from Sacramento around 7.
When did you rent the car?
5:30 that afternoon.
From whom?
Enterprise.
And when you arrived in Hollywood, what did you do with the car?
I lent the car to Rhonda.
Okay. You got the car on the 9th of July?
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened?
Actually, what happened was we drove from Sacramento
Look
to
at me, not the floor.
We drove from Sacramento to Los Angeles, and we
Who did the driving?
The plaintiff.
Go ahead.
And we arrived in Los Angeles, and we went to her boyfriend's house. And from that point, I had taken the car and went home. And we were to meet up the next day.
Went home to where?
To my mom's house, actually, in Los Angeles.
Don't make things up as you're going along, because I'm going to come back to everything that you tell me.
Okay.
And, you know, the only reason you have to have a good memory is if you tell lies. If you tell the truth, you don't need a really good memory, because you can tell the same story over and over again, and it's the truth. Do you understand, Miss Turner?
Yes, I do.
All right. So you dropped her off, you took the car, you went to your mother's house. Is that the last time you saw the car?
No.
When did you use the car again?
The next day when it was time to go to the so-called festival.
Did you go to the festival together?
No, we met there.
And you were driving the car?
Yes.
When you left, did you drive by yourself?
Yes.
Where did you go?
To a family barbecue.
Where?
In Inglewood, California.
And did you drive back to your mother's house?
No, not at that point.
When did you drive back?
I didn't drive back to my mom's house from that point. We were at the barbecue, and that's where the car was stolen from.
When did you find out the car was stolen?
Sometime during the day when I got ready to go, went outside and the car was not there.
What time?
Between 7 and 8.
May I see the police report, please, where you called the police and told them that the car was stolen?
I didn't make a police report.
Why not?
Well, I figured the car wasn't in my name, and I figured I needed to get in touch with the plaintiff so the plaintiff could make the appropriate report on the car.
When did you call her?
I called her that same night.
What time?
Somewhere between 8 and 9.
Is that right?
We received a voicemail message on Jimmy's phone around maybe 10.
Who got the message?
He originally received the message.
Jimmy, what's your last name?
Placencia.
You received the message. What did the message say?
The first message I received from Rhonda was that she left a message saying she had wrecked the car. The car was in an accident.
That's not true.
Shh. That's the first message.
Correct.
And the second message?
We had communicated several times during that evening. I called her back and she left a voicemail. And
did you speak to her when you called back?
Yes, I did.
What did you say to her, and what did she say to you?
I asked her about the vehicle and what had happened, and she had told me that she had gotten into a car accident, and I asked her about the accident. She said that she had hit somebody, and I asked her, did she exchange information, and there was no information exchanged.
And then the story changed?
And then the story had changed, and then she had tried to talk me or talk us into reporting the car that Lisa was originally the driver. She did not want to take responsibility for the accident. And when I started explaining to her that that would not be appropriate, then her story changed. She didn't want to talk, and we hung up, and then we tried to reach her again, and were not able to get in touch with her.
That isn't true. I called them several times during the night. They did not return my phone calls.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
I read your answer very carefully, and you say that the car was stolen. My friends and family searched the neighborhood for the car, and finally a friend called and said that they had found the car, but it was wrecked. Where's the friend?
They're not here.
What's the friend's name?
Adrian.
So Adrian found the car wrecked, came back and told you that. Is that what you're telling me?
Adrian didn't find the car herself. Her boyfriend found the car.
Yes.
I got the call initially from her stating what had happened. That was the next day.
So it's different from what you wrote in your answer?
No. My answer says that we looked for the car after we found out the car was stolen.
No, you can't. Finally, a friend called and said they had found the car and it was wrecked.
That was the next day.
All right. How much is Enterprise charging you for the car?
$3,780.96.
You have a contract with Enterprise?
Yes.
Can I see it, please? Okay. Now, you went into a contract with these people in which you guaranteed to them that there would be no other driver driving this car.
Yes.
You had no right to give her the car to drive.
Yes.
You understand that?
Yes, I do.
Because if you had put down her name, which you could do, and her driver's license, they would have said, now you're covered if you accepted insurance. Do you understand?
Yes.
That's why you're being charged this $3,780.
Yes.
So I have to find some sort of a reasonable balance between your wrongdoing and her wrongdoing, because I find, madam, that your story is a crock of baloney. Now, you damaged the car and you try to get out of it. And even if the car wasn't cared for properly while it was in your possession, you have to accept responsibility for that. You have to accept responsibility. You're not supposed to slough off responsibility. Neither are you. You did the wrong thing. But for the fact that you did the wrong thing, she wouldn't have been in a position to wreck your car that you are now being held responsible for. Do you have a car at home?
Do I have a car? Yes.
Do you have insurance?
Yes.
Well, if you had insurance, the insurance would cover this if you were permitted to drive the car. Do you know that?
Yes. When she rented the car, she called me and said, do I need to get insurance on the car? And I said, yes, it would be the appropriate thing to do.
Your Honor, she had assured me at the time when I had given her keys that she would be extremely careful and that she would be responsible for any damages to the car because she had full coverage insurance.
I don't believe she said that to you. I don't believe she said that to you at all. In any event, I think you're each responsible for half of the damage to this car and half of what you're being charged for. 50%. 50% for doing the wrong thing, 50% for having an accident and not coming clean. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of half, $1,890. That's all. The rest you're responsible for.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm glad that both of us were able to take responsibility of the car.
I'm not going to say that I was liable for the car because I didn't wreck the car.
I'm really just glad that it's over.
I think it was a fair decision.
It's been very challenging.
We got insurance for the car. Had she told the story the way it should have went, she would have been covered.
I really don't want to speak anymore.
If you're going to be honest all the way.
We're no longer friends.
Don't tell half truths.
I think it's about being selective of the people that are in your life.
And now the next case. Construction worker Ron King is suing his ex-fiancée, customer service rep Candy Oliveri, for a loan and an engagement ring. Candy is countersuing, claiming Ron has been harassing her.
It's clear that you acknowledged loans to her. Why are you making up a story?
I'm not making up a story. She did wire the money into an account.
It says, I promise I'll pay you back. It's me, I'm the pain in the butt again. I need to ask you one more favor.
To borrow $600. $1,700 was given to me.
By her?
Yes.
How ridiculous.
And Lisa, $1,700 was
my
given
dear.
to me.
And the paternity test?
When they called me and told me about the paternity test being done.
Yeah.
And they said, we took Ashley to have a paternity test.
Which was out of line. No question, which was out of line.
First of all, I was going through a very hard time in my life.
I don't care about your hard time. What I care about is whether or not you agreed to pay her back for the paternity test. I mean, I think it was nervy for her to take your daughter for a paternity test, but I'm asking you, did you agree to pay her back for the paternity test?
I did.
You did. I know you did, but that's not what you say in the answer.
I was devastated when I found out that they did that.
I tell you who else is devastated, your 8-year-old daughter.
No.
No? Guarantee you. Well, the results of the paternity test, he was clearly excluded as anyone who was possible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I have $510 for the paternity test, $2,000, and $600 that she needed for truck.
Yes, ma'am, but there's also the matter of $900 that's the $900 that she used to set up the card that she referenced in the email.
Is that right?
There was $600.
6 or 9?
It was $600.
Okay, going to give you a chance. Got 5 minutes.
May I say something about the paternity test? My daughter's birth certificate has her biological father's name on it. Her husband knew that that birth certificate had another name on it. We had discussed the possibility of him actually being the biological father, and we had reasons behind that. They took my daughter and had the paternity test. I didn't ask for them to do that. He had never mentioned to me about having the paternity test at that time. I was told after they went to do it. I did say in the email, I will pay back the $600 because I was upset and devastated, but I don't feel at this time they had the right to take my daughter without me at least being there with her.
You're absolutely right. I think it was the wrong thing to do. But you agreed to pay for the test. Other than the fact that you agreed to pay for it, I would not find you at fault and order you to pay it. But you agreed to pay for it. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,710. What caused you to separate from your husband?
It was a series of things. It really didn't have anything to do with Miss Lamphere.
How long were you married to him?
It'll be 9 years this month.
And she filed this against me after they separated.
So?
She offered $1,700 of that money to me.
Let me ask you this question. Think logically. Why would a perfect stranger support you and your children? And why would you take from a perfect stranger?
She's not.
And she's a perfect stranger to you. She is not related to you by blood, and she's not related to you by marriage at all. She doesn't owe you anything. Grow up. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,710.
Thank you, ma'am.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
This was the first little bit of help that I would have gotten from them.
It wasn't for Miss Lamphere, it was for her children.
I was in a state of devastation.
It's just too much drama.
And now the next case. Truck driver Glenn Ingram is suing his cousin, homemaker Renee Barber, and her husband Larry. Glenn claims the Barber's daughter, 9-year-old Hannah, ran into his car with her go-kart. The Barbers are countersuing for Hannah's medical bills.
All rise. Yes, case number 130 on the calendar in the matter of Ingram versus Barber. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Mr. Ingram, the defendants are cousins of yours, and this is their little girl, and according to your complaint, their little girl was driving a go-kart, and her go-kart hit your car. You want them to pay the damages to your car. Mr. and Mrs. Barber say that you were not driving carefully, that there was a collision between your car and their daughter's go-kart, and they are counterclaiming for not only her medical bills because she was injured, but for damages to the go-kart.
Yes.
Is the go-kart red or green?
There was 2 go-karts. The stepbrothers, Larry and the yellow one, and Hannah was the green.
The Hannah was in the green. The green is the one that you say you collided with.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did this happen, Mr. Ingram?
Happened on Friday, March the 19th.
Now, is this an area where you live?
No, ma'am. I live in Kansas City, Missouri. I was on my way down to pick up my stepdaughter.
And show me where you were going and how fast you were going, sir.
Okay, this is a gravel road. I was going westbound on Eisenhower Road. As I was approaching Iowa Road right here, I seen a go-kart turn the corner, which was Larry.
That was Larry. That was you, sir.
Yes. In a go-kart.
Okay, and that's correct. What he's showing me is correct.
Yes. And as I got to the intersection, this go-kart right here, which was driving too fast, was sliding through here. So I started heading for the edge of the complete edge of the road, which right here is about a 3 to 4 foot drop-off on that side right there. So I went to the complete edge. The go-kart hit my front left bumper, had my fender, had my tire.
So when you collided with Hannah, tell me what happened to Hannah.
It spun her around, and she stopped immediately.
Did she remain on her go-kart, or was she thrown?
She remained on the go-kart because she was stunned in a maze, scared. She didn't know what to do.
So what did you do?
I ended up in the ditch once I got by her, and I stopped in the ditch. I got back and ran back to make sure that she was okay. And I don't know how I missed her feet. I don't know how she come out of it alive.
Okay. But she did.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Now, do you remember what happened to Hannah? Why don't you come up here and tell me? Because you weren't there, were you, Larry?
I was in the...
You were in a car.
I was in this go-kart, and it was
passed him.
Yeah. I just happened to look back at the time she was turning the corner.
No, you didn't.
So.
That's a fib. You didn't turn around. You didn't turn around until you heard something happen.
No, I looked back to make sure she turned the corner.
You turned around just at the time of impact?
I just looked back to see that she was coming around the corner.
Is what you're telling me, Larry, that you turned around just at the point of impact?
No, I looked back.
I just wanted to make sure that that's where you weren't going to try to tell me that, Larry. You like your go-kart? You still drive?
No, we still need to fix it.
Okay. Tell me about that day in March when you had this collision.
I was coming out of the driveway, and Well,
would you go over to that sign over there and show me where your driveway is? Could you go down and point it out to me, okay?
Okay. I was coming out, and I was getting ready to turn the corner.
Turn around to talk to me.
And I couldn't stop, so I shut the key off. I started turning the corner.
Okay, so when you say you couldn't stop, is that because you were going too fast around the corner? Well, why couldn't you stop, Hannah?
Because only like half of my foot could touch the brake.
The brake pedal was a little too far away. Okay. Had you ridden this go-kart before?
Many times.
So how come on that day your foot didn't hit the pedal?
It always been like that.
So you have to grow another inch or two. Is that right? Where were you? Do you remember, Hannah, when you turned the key off?
Yeah,
Show me where you were.
I was kind of like right here, and I turned it off, and then I turned the corner towards the ditch, and then he just hit me.
Okay. Go and have a seat over there, Hannah.
Your Honor, after the accident, the go-kart was still running.
Well, Hannah was very clear to me. She was driving a go-kart that was a little too big for her. She couldn't reach the brake. She turned it off before the collision. She probably lost control of it because she was trying to make a turn. And there was an accident. That takes care of your counterclaim. You understand that?
Yes.
Because Hannah was being very honest with me. You shouldn't not let this child drive a machine that she can't operate safely. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Larry? Because she's very lucky she wasn't killed. Right?
Right.
Can I see your estimates, please?
There's the police report right there, and the two estimates.
Mr. Ingram, how fast were you going, sir?
Approximately 30 miles an hour.
You have insurance on these go-karts, Mr. Barber?
No, we don't.
Anything else you want to tell me?
Your Honor, there's no reason why Mr. Ingram wasn't able to see that go-kart, even like he says that for instance, on this chart here.
He saw it.
I mean, before the accident even happened, this go-kart is like 5 feet tall with two big lights on the top. I mean, Mr. Ingram had plenty of time to stop the go-kart, or to stop his vehicle for the corner.
Well, what you wrote there, sir, is incorrect. What you're suggesting in your diagram is that Mr. Ingram was in the wrong lane and your daughter was in the right lane, and she was making an appropriate turn into an appropriate lane, and that Mr. Ingram was traveling incorrectly, going down the wrong way on the street, which is what you say in your answer. But that's not true, Mr. Barber. That's not even true according to Hannah. According to Hannah, she lost control of this go-kart because she couldn't stop it.
Your Honor, even if she tried to stop the go-kart, once you shut the key off, that go-kart will stop within 4 to 5 feet.
4 to 5 feet is a lot of feet, sir, and you can't tell me that. She lost control. That's not what happened. This is what happened.
That's not what happened, Your Honor. That's not happened at all. This road, Rock Creek Road, is 24 feet wide. There is 3 sets of tracks on Rock Creek Road. That third track is 6 feet over on Hannah's side of the road, which clearly states that Glenn was on Hannah's side of the road.
That's loose gravel out there.
Show me a police report that indicates that he was on the wrong side of the road.
It doesn't state that on the
Of course
police
it
report.
doesn't.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Let us assume, for instance, sir, instead of going into a car, she hit a 6-year-old who was riding on a bicycle and killed him. Who do you think would be responsible?
And later today.
We understand each other, Mr. Rodriguez?
No, like I...
Do we understand me? That doesn't mean that you will like what I said. I want to know if you understand what I said.
Old Hannah Griffin ran into his car with her go-kart. Hannah says she lost control because her feet didn't reach the pedals.
Let us assume, for instance, sir, that instead of Mr. Ingram coming down that road, you had a 6-year-old child on a bicycle, and Hannah lost control of the go-kart because she couldn't reach with her little feet the brake pedal. And instead of going into a car causing some damage, she hit a 6-year-old riding on a bicycle and killed him. Who do you think would be responsible?
I would be.
Right. You know why? Because you allowed your daughter to drive a go-kart that was unsafe for her to drive. Now, the fact that this is a car doesn't make you any less responsible, because I have no indication that he was traveling inappropriately. You don't even suggest in your answer that he was speeding down the road, and you passed him, right? Okay. So you have to pay for the damage to his car. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,800. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He lied about the whole accident.
Why would I be on the wrong side of the road there, trying to run over somebody?
I was hurt on the side because of the seatbelt burn and on my neck.
I don't know how she lived through the accident. You know, I'm a truck driver. I drive over the road. I got real quick reflexes. When I seen her come, I head straight for the edge of the road.
He did not check on her. He didn't even care that she was even hurt.
It's just allegations. You know, I got out of the car immediately and went to her and made sure, you know, she was okay.
He stood there on his phone, worried about his car. That's the one thing he was worried about at the time was his car. Not once was he worried about my daughter.
And now the next case. Painter Jeff Ratcliffe is suing his ex-girlfriend, Kim Hicks, and her son, 15-year-old Wendell Hicks, for medical bills resulting from a fistfight with Wendell. Wendell says Jeff had been spreading rumors about him and a female friend.
Yeah, this is case number 275 in the case of Ratcliffe versus Hicks. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Mr. Ratcliffe, you and this lady, Miss Hicks, had been involved in a relationship. And according to your complaint, there was an altercation where you came to her rescue. She was having an altercation with her son, I assume, this young man. As a result of that, you were injured, and Miss Hicks agreed to pay your medical bills. She has not done so. You are no longer a couple, and you want your medical bills paid. Ms. Hicks says that you were the aggressor in this altercation with her son. She is suing you for damaging her home and for injuring her son. Is that right?
Correct.
When did this take place, Mr. Ratcliffe?
It was July 8th, 2003.
Tell me how it started.
Well, we received a phone call at the house.
Who's we?
My son and I.
Who answered the phone?
My son. And
Step up. I wasn't saying hello. I was telling you to stand up. Tell me your name.
Alex Ratcliffe.
Alex, did you receive a phone call on the 8th of July?
Yes, I did.
Who was on the other end of the phone?
Initially, I heard Kim screaming in the background.
Kim, is that you? Miss Hicks.
Miss Hicks. I initially heard her screaming in the background, but Wendell was talking to me, and he asked to speak to my father. And when I went to go give my dad the phone, I heard her in the background screaming for help and asking for my dad.
You went and got your father?
Yes, I went and got my dad and gave him the phone.
What happened when you picked up the phone? Who was on the other end?
it was Wendell Hicks on the phone indicating he was coming to my house to kick my butt, him and 4 boys, because I was supposedly spreading rumors about him and some girl in the neighborhood.
So he said he was coming to your house?
Yes. And he hung up. I returned the phone call back. You could still hear Kim hollering and screaming bloody murder in the background.
What did you hear?
She was just screaming for help.
Well, what did you actually hear her say?
For Wendell to leave her alone.
Okay.
And when the phone call came, I called back because he had hung up, and I'd asked for him to explain himself. For why is he coming to my house? He said it was due to because I supposedly spread some rumor about him putting a hickey on the neighbor girl's neck. And so I asked to speak to his mom because I could hear her in the background just screaming bloody murder, and so he hung up the phone, and so I felt the need to go there because she had explained to me many times before.
Just a second. Don't tell me what she explained to you before. Tell me what happened when you got there. You felt the need to go over there.
I went over there, I knocked on the door, and the boy had let me in. I come in the door, and
Which boy let you in?
Wendell Hicks let me in.
Go ahead.
He opened the door, let me in, and I come through the door, and to the right of me was 2 friends of hers in the house. Wendell proceeded to go back around the corner where he had his mom pinned in the corner, and she was screaming.
How was she pinned in the corner?
Just backed up to the corner.
Okay, he didn't have his hands on her.
No, he was right up in her face.
No, but he didn't have his hands on her.
Not at this time.
Okay, so what did you do?
I come up around him, come around the countertop there, and told him to leave her alone. He turned and swung at me and hit me in my left ear with his right arm. At that time, I took him down to the ground and sat on him. And he kept trying to hit me in the face, and I grabbed his wrists to avoid him hitting me. I was sitting on him, and I kept asking, "Are you finished? Is this out of you?" And he said, "Yes," on top of him saying a lot of other foul things, how he's going to shoot me and my kids, and he was going to kill my dogs and burn my fence down. And after about 15, 20 minutes of trying to calm him down, I asked him, "Are you finished?" And finally he said, "Yes." I got up, we kind of shook it off, and the next thing I know, he's coming charging at me with a windmill effect. And in doing so, I put him in a headlock, like with his body sticking out this way, and I wrenched up on him to keep him from doing any more damage. And in doing so, I separated this cartilage here in my chest.
Mm-hmm.
And probably another 15, 20 minutes to hold him like that, a few other cuss words are coming out, and I asked, "Are you finished?" And finally he said yes. His sister come through the door after I just let him go, and she backed him all the way down the hall, and that was the last I'd seen of him.
Okay. How long had you been seeing his mother in July of 2003?
Approximately a year.
And after July of 2003, did you continue to see her?
Not right away. She kept calling, complaining because I would never take her nowhere, never do nothing with her, never let her meet any of my friends. I told her to go find another boyfriend. And so it's like, it was no big deal to me, and she did. She found another one. She kept calling me, telling me how the progress was going. Finally, after about a couple of weeks, she said she broke it up with him for whatever reason, and then she eventually started calling me all the time.
When did you stop seeing her?
As of this year of May, Mother's Day weekend.
And when did you start getting these bills?
I was getting these bills probably 6 months after the incident had happened. You know, she said she was going to take care of it because her son had done some damage to my fence back in June. She took care of that immediately. She said she'd take care of these medical bills as well because I...
When did she tell you she was going to take care of the medical bills?
Pillow talk. It was when we were, you know...
And you believed her?
Oh, yeah. I had no doubt to.
Okay. How old are you, Wendell?
I'm 15.
Who was this girl that you supposedly gave a hickey to?
Emily.
Is Emily your girlfriend?
No.
Did you give her a hickey?
Yes.
So why were you angry at Mr. Radcliffe for telling people that you gave Emily a hickey?
Because he was spreading rumors around the trailer court, and I had...
Spreading rumors about what?
About me giving her hickeys and a bunch of other stuff.
Well, it wasn't a rumor about you giving her a hickey. According to you, you gave Emily a hickey.
Yeah, I did.
You did? Okay, so why did you call him that day? Were you just angry?
Yeah, I was mad that he was spreading my family business around the trailer court.
Okay, so when you called him, his son answered the phone?
Yes.
And what did you say to his son?
I asked to talk to his dad.
What did you say to him?
I was like, Jeff, why are you spreading rumors around?
And what did he say to you?
He's like, what in the F are you talking about?
And what did you say to him?
I was like, about me and Emily. And he was like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. So he hung up with me. So I went back to my mom's house, and I asked her why. She told him because it was supposed to stay between me, Emily, and Emily's stepdad.
Because Emily's stepfather was angry with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So you went home and you confronted your mother?
Yes.
And you were angry with your mother for telling him
Yes.
things? And then did you call Mr. Radcliffe back?
He called me back.
While you were confronting your mother?
Yes.
And when you were confronting your mother, were you raising your voice?
No.
No. Did your mother admit to you that she had shared your secret with Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
And you told her she had no business doing that?
Yes.
See how we get into the story?
Did very good.
It's a whole different story than she wrote in her answer, but at least we're going to get to the bottom of it. You got to start with the most vulnerable one.
That's right.
Right? You got to start with the one who's not quite swift enough to tell you a lie. Now, when Mr. Radcliffe came over to the house, were you still arguing with your mother?
No.
What happened when he came into the house?
He came up, banged on the door. The door came off the latch. He just came in, and then he came up and got in my face, and I asked him what was going on.
He got in your face?
Yes.
And what did he say when he got in your face, Wendell?
You effing little punk.
Well, he must have been angry because you must have said something to him, Wendell, like you were going to come over and kick his and get your friends to come over because he was spreading these rumors about you and Emily's hickey. Did you threaten him?
No.
You mean you just said why? You just said like this?
I said
What?
it in a rude voice, yes.
In a rude voice?
In a rude voice, yeah.
And did you have the same kind of rude voice when you were talking to your mother?
No.
You mean you went over to her and you were very, very calm when you say, why did you share private information
Yes.
with
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Radcliffe? You said it quietly.
Not quietly, but in a normal voice.
Now, did you have any injuries as a result of this altercation with Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes, my back was killing me.
Your back was killing you.
Yeah.
When did it stop killing you?
Oh, a couple days after.
Now, your sister, at one point, came into the room when you were having this altercation with Mr. Radcliffe.
Yes.
Your sister's name is?
Jessica.
And how old is Jessica?
She's 19.
And Jessica took you out of the room?
Yeah.
Right. She said, calm down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Shooting fish in a barrel.
Oh, you're good. You are good.
Can I see your medical bills, please? Now, Mrs. Hicks, did you ever tell Mr. Radcliffe that you would pay his medical bills?
No, ma'am. The only injuries he got was a couple rug burns. When he come up to my door and was banging on my door, he He busted my door to pieces. He come in. Me and Wendell was standing in the kitchen talking. He got in his face. Wendell goes, "Jeff, can you back up?" And Jeff took his hands like this, went boom into the side of the cabinet, and Wendell was going like, you know, like this. "What are you doing?" He just started attacking him. He took him down. He broke my stove. He had him on the floor, punching him in the face.
Miss Hicks, listen to me very carefully. What you're telling me is that Mr. Radcliffe assaulted your son for no reason.
They got into
Shh. Is that right?
Yes.
And I have a question for you. After July 8th, 2003, did you ever sleep with Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Even though he assaulted your son without provocation. Is that right?
Yes. It was 3 days after the incident.
So 3 days after, it wasn't even 6 months later, it was 3 days after the incident that you, the mother of this assaulted child who had terrible backache from being assaulted without provocation from Mr. Radcliffe, went to bed with him.
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe, this is your problem, sir. I believe what you told me with regard to how this incident happened. Not everything. I think that you probably busted the door a little bit. I'm not sure whether Wendell opened the door calmly and said, "Why don't you come on in?" I'm not sure about all those things. What I don't believe is that she agreed to pay your medical bills. And we know, I gather from these papers, that there is currently an action pending against you for stalking Miss Hicks. Now, I'm not getting into that, but according to Ms. Hicks, you did not file this claim for your medical bills until a couple of days after she either filed and or served you with this stalking complaint, which is well over a year later, a year after the incident. So the issue that I have to resolve is whether she put you in harm's way or you put yourself in harm's way when you went over to her house. And there were several things that you could have done on the 8th of July. One of them is if you actually believed that Miss Hicks was in danger, you should have called the police.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
there's no question that the computer was broken.
We don't know that.
Well, I know that. I mean, did she have a vendetta against you? Okay, you went to the emergency room. They told you you had a sprained ankle. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. I do want to express my thanks for the opportunity.
Let's move on.
At your expense. Okay. This is an exhibit I want to share. It shows the duplex in the back. My wife and I purchased this last December and fixed it up. And believe you me, we take good care of our tenants.
Listen to
very
me.
Important. Okay.
Let's get to it.
Yes, all right.
I've read what it said. It said that there was a sink. Listen
Okay.
to me, Mr.
All right.
Nelson.
Yeah.
I'm speaking.
Yes.
Pay attention. Listen to me. I'm speaking. Pay attention. The report says that there was a hole on that property that was caused by a sprinkler, that it was filled in on one occasion. Is that true or not true?
One occasion.
Fine.
But I had a company come in and put in a new water tap because when we bought the property, it was told to us that the neighbor on the north would not pay his water. So I put in the water tap.
Mr. Nelson, let me explain something
Sure.
to you, sir. If there is a hole on your property...
I object to that being on my property.
Well, then I'm going to let you get to
Okay.
it. If it's not on your property, it's not on your property.
Sure. Okay.
Okay? There's a hole on your property, and you have noticed that there was a prior hole on your property, and you attempt to fix it, and you don't fix it.
I did.
Listen to me.
Yes, okay.
And you don't fix it so that it creates a situation so that somebody injures themselves, you're responsible. I assume that you would have homeowners insurance that would cover that. If your defense is that the hole is not on your property, show me.
Okay, that's one of the defenses. Another is that I didn't cause the hole. It was, I honestly believe, sabotage. And this may sound strange, but the lady that lived in this property would not pay 1 penny of water.
Who's the lady who lived in the property?
Ms. who was the renter of this property.
Okay, she never paid a penny for water.
Yeah, that's right. And it was written in the contract that she was responsible to do that.
Who cares? I don't care about that.
Okay.
That's not important. Show me that the property isn't your property.
All right. You can see these 2 water meters. this hole was by one water meter that was right next to the curb, and that was right here. The cause of the hole was the slashed pipe, like someone jammed a spade, and this is what the guy that repaired
Don't just look at me. Don't talk to them. Look at me.
Sorry. Jammed a spade or a shovel into the grid and slashed it.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
I have a mind like a steel trap. You were going to show me that the property where the hole is not your property. Now you have 30 seconds, because I've already wasted enough time with you. Show me that the property wasn't yours.
Right. Just this picture right here shows the meter by this house and the meter by this house, and it was right in front of this meter right here, next to the curb, is where the hole was. Here's another picture right here.
Just a second. Let me see the the first picture.
May I approach the bench? Okay.
Go get it from me.
Okay, sure.
This picture that you're showing me, sir, this is not where she fell. She fell at a spot very, very close to the curb, that little curb.
That is true. That is true.
So this, sir, what you're showing me here...
It's just showing the 2 meters. The 2 meters
listen to
there.
Me. I don't care if you're showing me 2 meters. It's not where she fell. I'm not interested in meter. I'm not a meter maid. This is not where she fell. She fell near a curb. When did Miss Smith tell you that she had fallen into the sinkhole and hurt her ankle?
She did not. She did not.
Okay. Miss Smith, when did you notify Mr. Nelson that you had fallen into the sinkhole?
I did not notify Mr. Nelson I had fallen into the sinkhole.
Why not?
Because he came onto the property within that week, and he seen me on the crutches, and the other neighbors had told him, and he did
Don't tell me what other people told him. I'm asking you a question. Your fiancé seems like an intelligent man. The two of you, you are articulate. You seem like an intelligent woman. If I fall and I injure myself, I call the landlord immediately, just like you went to the doctor, and say to him on the 7th or the 8th or the 9th or the 10th, I fell on your property, I want you to take care of my medical bills, or whatever.
You're right. I guess I would have, but the next day I was served with this notice.
Can I see?
And so at that point, I just decided not to discuss it with him because someone had already gotten him to the point. So I figured, well...
So on the 8th of September, he told you to move?
Yes. Right.
Why did he tell you to move? This was the day after you fell.
Well, according...
Why did you tell her to move, Mr. Nelson?
I gave her a 30-day or a vacate notice to move because she was causing a lot of disturbances in the community. This was perpetual. That's why I asked these people to show the properties, clean up if there's a transition in tenancy, to prepare them, you know.
And I have worked for Mr. Nelson prior to this.
Mr. Nelson, do you have any verification from other tenants that Miss Smith was causing you problems? Do you have any letters that they wrote to you, any emails that they sent to you?
There's a wonderful verification right here.
Mr. Nelson!
Yes, yes.
I asked you a question.
She was a tenant of mine.
I'm asking you a question. Whether you have any letters or complaints from other tenants about Miss Smith.
I was one
The answer is either yes or no.
Not written.
That's all I'm interested in. Do you have a bill, by the way, for your sprained ankle?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I actually have two, one from the emergency department and one from the doctor.
All right. Can you step over here, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Step over here, please. Very good. You could put your crutches away. I'm unimpressed. Somebody who...
No,
let me explain something to you. Somebody who has a continuous problem with a sprained ankle from months ago doesn't wear high-heel shoes. They wear sneakers. Step back. So I'm unimpressed with the crutches.
No, I just bought them in to show you.
Listen to me very carefully. Anybody who can't walk doesn't wear high-heel shoes. They wear sneakers. Even though they may not look elegant, they wear sneakers. I want to see the letter where you notified him that you fell.
I didn't.
You never did?
We talked verbally on the phone. And
when?
Around the 15th or 20th.
Of what?
Of September. When he called me to tell me that I didn't have to move because he hadn't gotten any complaints. And that, you know what I think about you falling. Tell me what's going on with this whole thing. And I said, well, Mr. Nelson, I hurt my ankle. And he told me, well, you know what I think about that? I think you're faking. Yeah. I don't believe you.
I object, Your Honor.
What?
Because Sophia, Ms. Banks here, she saw her most of the time without crutches.
I don't believe she needs crutches, Mr. Nelson,
No,
but I believe
okay,
you're responsible for her medical bills. Got me?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She, made the statement to me that, why you in my business? We're gonna mess you up.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Colleen Smith says former landlord Everett Nelson owes for damages due to an accident on his property. Colleen says she fell into a sinkhole.
Now, you want to get to the second part of your claim, which is that Miss Bank harassed you, causing you to have to move.
In August, Sophia and her sister Arabia, Sophia knocked on my door and asked me to come outside. And when I came out with my baby in my arms, she, made the statement to me that, why you in my business? We're gonna mess you up pretty much if we hear our names come out of your mouth again. And right around that time, her sister came from around the wall there. And, yeah, it's, they were coming towards me as in an aggressive manner.
Put your hand down.
That they were going to fight me, we're gonna mess you up. And we got into the conversation that, my parents are calling over my house. And I said, well, they asked you not to have their minor child over your home, then send them back home.
I don't know, what was the dispute about?
I had called her parents to inform them. I didn't call her parents, he called her father to let them know that her younger sibling was over her house, who was 15, and he was a witness in a case that pertained her and another brother, and he didn't want him over there.
So your boyfriend, your fiance, got into her business.
Right.
I'm not saying right or wrong, but that's what the dispute was about. Is that right, madam?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Fine. And you went over to her house and you told her to stay out of your business?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And you went over with your sister?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. What else?
And then on September 3rd, I was given this 3-day notice to pay rent or quit. But according to my lease, my rent isn't late until after the 4th.
Your Honor.
Just a second.
Okay.
And I do have my receipt where we did.
It says that other covenant of the lease violated. Water, $12, and late fees, $54.90. They're late from September 1st to September 30th, but this notice is dated September 3rd. That doesn't make any sense. Why is that?
What we do is, if the rent is not due, if they have not given us the rent on the 1st, legally we are able to serve them a 3-day notice because the rent is supposed to be due by the 4th. The only thing is that after the 4th, they incur a late fee. It's for nothing else.
What's the late fee that you're talking about here, $54.90?
That's
10% of the rent if they don't pay by the 4th. They have 4 days of grace. The rent is due on the 1st. It's late on the 2nd.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
I don't think you ought to be a landlord. Listen to me. I don't think you ought to be a landlord, sir. Either you're playing dumb or it's not an act.
I'm not sure which.
Listen to me. Either you're playing dumb, Mr. Nelson, or it's not an act. If rent is due on the 1st and you have until the 4th as a grace period, it's not until after the 4th that you incur late fees. And this notice says that she violated her lease because she owes $54.90 in late fees. My question is, for what month does she owe late fees?
The current month that this is
That's
about.
Impossible.
On the 21st, he told me I could stay. But again, he did it again on the 2nd of October. And he had Sophie.
The notice to vacate was for all the disturbances, and I have testimony here that's notarized.
Now, I'm going to let Miss Banks testify, since she was a resident of the place. What you heard from Miss Smith's apartment that caused you to report to Mr. Nelson that she was creating a problem.
It wasn't what we heard from her apartment. It's what they were doing outside. They were drinking, partying until late into the night, like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. Anybody else in the complex partying outside in the summertime?
The other tenants that were there that were partying with her, they are no longer there.
You know those people?
Yes, I do.
Are they gone?
All except one of them. And it was the whole block that had a barbecue for Labor Day. The whole complex came except Sophia Banks.
When you were given the notice to leave by Mr. Nelson, the last one, and you did in fact move.
Without notice. Excuse me. Sorry.
You understood that you had the ability to fight that notice because you weren't in arrears on your rent.
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you do that?
I took my rent money that day that I was going to give him that day, and I took it and I gave it to another landlord because Sophia and her
in
sister...
October?
October 2nd.
Okay. So you took your rent money and you moved?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you move?
October 2nd. And
Really?
I turned the keys in to Sophia's husband.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I?
On the 3rd.
Here is the way she left the apartment. It
I'd like
looks
to take a
pig
look
pen.
at it.
In fact, it looks worse than the pig
You'll
pens I
see
had
the
when I
beer
was raising
bottles
hogs.
and cups of beer and...
Way
If
she
we
left
drank
it.
outside...
That's the living room.
In Mr. Nelson's lease...
Okay, you left the place pretty dirty. Did you have security deposit from her?
No, not in this one.
Okay. You left the apartment messy, but I don't have a counterclaim. Okay. Ms. Smith, it's a long case. I believe that he is responsible for paying for your medical bills and then some with regard to your broken ankle. I don't find that since you didn't fight this eviction, which you could have, that he's responsible for harassing you. I think that probably Ms. Banks was just as happy to have you go since there was some acrimony that existed between the two of you and she did the wrong thing. I don't think that you're able to be compensated for that to the tune of $5,000, but I certainly think that you are entitled to your medical bills with regard to your ankle and then some. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.